Good evening. Today is Monday, June the 13th, 2022. This is the regular board meeting of the Romulus Community School District. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public in conducting the district's business. It is not to be considered a public community meeting. On the agenda, there is time for public participation during the meeting. Official minutes of school board meetings are available on our district website, which is www.romulusk12.org. and at the Romulus Community School Administration Building, 36540 Grant Road. This regular board meeting is in person with public participation. Also, it can be viewed on YouTube, live public stream. This meeting is now called to order at 6:11 p.m. Madam Secretary, roll call.
Wester. Present. Terrell. Present. German. Piles.
Present.
Evans present. Kennard.
Here.
Bergeron. Absent.
We have a quorum. May we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first item on our agenda is we have some very distinguished guests here, and that is our student spotlight. We have in our audience the valedictorian and the salutatorian, and then the top 10 students. Just recently on June 4th, we had our graduation commencement where we had speakers, Mr. Randy Gear and Mrs. Sherry Gay-Day-Nogo. It was very inspirational, and we thank them very much for addressing the class of 2022. But tonight, we're going to acknowledge our valedictorian, salutatorian, and the top 10 students in the class of 2022. And what we have here is a resolution for each one of them. For the salutatorian, the resolution will read, "This proclamation honors, recognizes, and commends Jayla D. Nunn as salutatorian of the 2022 graduation class at Romulus High School. Whereas it is fitting that the Romulus Board of Education and Administration should pay tribute to those students who, through their natural talents and unwavering commitment to academic excellence, have distinguished themselves in the classroom in their academic pursuits. And Jayla Nunn is one such exceptional student who was recently named salutatorian of the 2022 graduating class of Romulus High School. And during her year at Romulus High School, Jayla Nunn has earned the respect and admiration of teachers and classmates, and her exceptional scholastic abilities and commitment to excellence have opened the way to a bright and promising future for this outstanding scholar. And exceptional scholastic ability and commitment to excellence have opened the way to a bright and promising future for this outstanding scholar, and dedication to excellence is clearly deserving of respect, admiration, and commendation. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education and Administration hereby commend and honor Jayla D. Nunn, 2022 valedictorian of Romulus High School, and her impressive academic achievement, and extend best wishes for her happiness and ever future success. With eagle pride, now it is time to soar. Signed this 13th day of June, 2022, the board president, J.R. Kennard, the interim superintendent, Dr. Donald B. Witherspoon, PhD. So what I'm going to do is acknowledge who the valedictorian and salutatorian is, and then I will have them come up. The same resolution is for the valedictorian, and that is Elon A. Burton, and it says the same thing. I'll read this. This resolution honors and recognizes and commends Elon A. Burton as valedictorian of the 2022 class of Romulus High School. Whereas it is fitting that the Romulus Board of Education Administration should pay tribute to those students who, through their natural talents and unwavering commitment to academic excellence, have distinguished themselves in the classroom in their academic pursuits, and in earning the title of valedictorian requires not only intellect and aptitude, but also 4 years of dedicated to the highest academic standards in securing her place as the class of 2022 top-ranking student. Attending this coveted distinction is the crowning achievement of a notable high school career, and Elon Burton is one such exceptional student who was recently named valedictorian of the 2022 graduating class at Romulus High School. And through diligent study composure during exams, and a world pandemic health crisis, and steadfast commitment of time and talent, has achieved outstanding academic success and has joined the ranks of the best and brightest students in Michigan and our nation. And dedication to excellence is clearly deserving of respect, admiration, and commendation now, therefore. Be it resolved that the Board of Education Administration hereby commend and honor Elon A. Burton, 2022 valedictorian of Romulus High School, on her impressive academic achievement and extend best wishes for much happiness and ever future success. With eagle pride, now it is time to soar. Signed this 13th day of June 2022, J.R. Kennard, President, Board of Education, Dr. Donald B. Witherspoon, Interim Superintendent, Ph.D. And we're also going to recognize the top 10 students of the Romulus High School class, and those names are Pierre Kenya, Hannah Sloan, Ava Martin, Julia Maxwell, Troy Cranford, Thor Bisco, John Kraft, and Brandon Hambarger. And on their resolution, it reads, as the top 10 academic excellence students of the 2022 graduating class at Romulus High School, whereas it is fitting that the Romulus Board of Education Administration should pay tribute to those students who, through their natural talents and unwavering commitment to academic excellence, have distinguished themselves in the classroom in their academic pursuits, and it is fitting to pay tribute to those students who, through natural talents and unflagging commitment to academic excellence, have distinguished themselves in the classroom and may now stand with pride as they assesses their achievement, experiences the satisfaction of their labors and the joy of accomplishments, eager to face new experiences of the challenges world and noteworthy achievement, is a tremendous source of pride for their family, friends, Romulus High School, and this community. And dedication to excellence is clearly deserving of respect, admiration, and commendation now, therefore. Be it resolved that the Board of Education and Administration hereby commend and honor all of those on this impressive academic achievement and extend best wishes for much happiness and ever future success. With eagle pride, now it is time to soar. Signed on this 13th day of June 2022, J.R. Kennard, President, Board of Education, Dr. Donald B. Witherspoon, Ph.D., Interim Superintendent. So I don't know, those who are here, the valedictorian and salutatorian, if you would come to the front. I don't know if we have a photographer here, or, okay, you can take a picture of it. We want to take a picture of them, the valedictorian, salutatorian, and then the top 10 first, okay? So we want to. Okay, yeah. Are they here?
Congratulations, you guys.
want your family to take a picture? Families want to take a picture?
Is the mom here?
Come on, this is your moment
Do
too.
with the board, you do this one and then do a couple other ones too, yeah. And then have you learn.
So what were the final GPAs?
We gotta take, so mom doesn't wanna be in the photo. 4 points, okay, two, I can't remember, I almost. All right, board members? Dr. Lewis? That's okay? Yeah. Very good.
Let the parents get the,
Nicole? Denise?
oh, you're gonna come stand in the middle?
Everybody in. Hang on, hold that count. 1, 2, 3. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, congratulations.
Congratulations.
And then the 10?
Do we, okay, those who are here, if you would like to take a photo, is Pierre here? Hannah? Ava? Julia? Troy? Thor? John, and Brandon. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. We'll get all of you. Is Julia here? Yep.
Thor?
Congratulations, you guys. Awesome. Come on. Judy, like scoot over a little bit, yeah, so, come on, so Thor's not hanging off the end. Come on in, Thor. Jim, I need you to go a little bit more.
There you go.
Thor, come in. I was taking the, okay, ready? Ready? Smile. I know, right?
Board members?
Okay, I'm gonna stand here. You step in where you're gonna be able to be seen.
Are we getting the answer?
Do we need to make a little circle or
Are we
pull
good?
up, so how are we?
Everybody smile.
Okay, got it. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
And so for those who were not here today, I just want them to know that they are more than welcome to pick them up at the school board office. Just call there and someone will, you can make arrangements with them, with the administrators there. That's the fun part, doing things like this every now and then, acknowledging our students.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the next item on our agenda is unfortunate, some things that we are going to take a moment out in remembrance of a very important individual who had a rich history with our Romulus community school system, and that we learned earlier this week that Mr. Joel Russell Carr, who used to be with the school district for many years. Mr. Carr received an advanced educational degree from the University of Michigan, and he worked as an educator for over 43 years. He came to Romulus Community Schools in 1971 and remained with the district for the rest of his career for 25 years, and he had many, many career avenues. First, he was the Romulus High School principal. Then he became the business manager, and finally, as superintendent of Romulus Community Schools. And under his accomplishments and under his supervision, the district won several awards, including 3 Michigan Golden Apple Awards, 2 Math Excellence Awards from the Middle Cities Education Association, and a Michigan Blue Ribbon Award. And from there, he retired in 2007. I can personally say something about Mr. Carr. I do remember Mr. Carr as my high school principal. He had a calm, reassuring demeanor, and he was one with a quick and witty human laughter. He was always professional whenever I saw him. And I know we have another board member who was alumni of the district, Secretary Evans, and I believe he was probably under your tenure on education as well, correct?
Yes, he came when I was in high school, and so I was probably one of his first. I had him for 3 years as a principal, and he was, as Ms. Kennard said, he was very jovial, very personal. He definitely guided you in a right direction, just a very nice gentleman. And back in the 70s, that was a chore in itself to keep us guided and focused. He was very good, and I appreciate his history with us.
And the good thing, I never had to go to the principal's office. So therefore, the family is asking that any donations received from Romulus Community Schools be used honoring his dedication and service that he gave to the district. There is no preference of which group, but specifically to high school, since Mr. Carr's tenure was with the high school principal. I want people, right now we don't have specifics, but should be a specific fund endowment of special funds, and more information for that will be forthcoming. So therefore, we, the Board of Education, and the entire Romulus Community School District, to the family of Mr. Joe Russell Carr, you have our deepest condolences for the loss of such a wonderful person. And the next item on our agenda is public comment. The guidelines for public comment, the Board of Education, we want you to know, to the audience, we welcome your participation to our meetings. And the guidelines are based on the Board of Education bylaws and policies. They are intended to facilitate the orderly conduct of the public comment portion of the Board of Education meetings. So we encourage parents and students and others to resolve issues at the building level whenever possible with the teacher or building principal or assistant principal. Issues not resolved at the building level may be addressed to the appropriate central office administrator and then, if necessary, to the superintendent. The Board of Education discourages parents, students, and others from addressing the Board of Education on issues that have not been processed in the fashion and will, in such cases, direct the person addresses the Board of Education to the appropriate administrator. The board president will recognize all speakers. Speakers are asked to identify themselves by name, Speakers representing organizations or groups should indicate whether their comments represent the official position of those organizations and groups. We ask that the speakers observe the rules of common courtesy. Personal attacks on board members and district employees will not be tolerated. Board members and district employees may request the board entertain complaints against them in closed session. The Board of Education reserves the right to take any action permitted by law to ensure order at its meetings, including the expulsion of disciplinary persons. Madam Secretary, do we have anyone for public comments?
Rita Hampton.
On May, I think it was May 23rd, I appreciate the response about why, regarding the termination of Dr. Edmondson. However, I think with 7 minutes that you gave your response, I should have equal, but I'll try to stay within the 3 minutes. First, you stated on May 23rd, you and the board attempt to be, you want to be transparent at all times. I was wondering, did you consider that transparency when then President Debbie Piles stated that she wanted the auditors to withhold information regarding the district without the findings and corrective measures? Is that your idea of transparency? Further insisting to Dr. Ben, only she states she removed the other board members and their names so she could just talk to him in an email. Is that your idea of transparency? See, through that rebuttal that you gave in answering my question, which only took 4 months, you keep saying how honest you are and how there's been some discrepancies with Dr. Ben. Dr. Edmondson demanded the board give him full authority, you said. He did all these things, violating board policies as well as state and federal law. That's where I'm going to take issue. On December 29th, during that long meeting to terminate Dr. Ben, Mr. Rommel, his lawyer, said, "Hold it just a minute, Ms. Piles, addressing law violations committed by Dr. Edmondson. Ms. Piles, be very careful if you are alleging that my client engaged in illegal activities, because that is not my understanding from the charges that he's engaged in. Any illegal activities, and I think that you are going a little bit off script in saying that, and especially if you are now alleging that he engaged in illegal activities. You absolutely need to give him an opportunity to respond under law because he is a public employee. That is a requirement that you have. The question is the list of charges and the documents that you provided on behalf of the district. If you are accusing Dr. Edmondson of something, then you must give him an opportunity. And it goes on and on and on. But I recognize, that's one thing about Miss Rita. Teacher 30 years, I never forget. I'm like an elephant. I'm only going to acknowledge 10 pounds overweight, but I don't forget nothing. And I remember that when he said that Dr. Ben should be allowed to come back here and speak on his behalf. There is, you question.
Time is up.
You question transparency.
Ms. Hampton, your time is up.
There was no
Please
transparency on your, I'm still
Please
gonna
step
ask
away.
the
Please step
question.
away from the
Why was
microphone.
Dr. Edmondson
Thank you very much.
fired or
Call the next
terminated?
person.
Thank you very
I'm
much.
still
Next person.
waiting for an answer. Thank you.
The next public comment is from Ms. Danielle Funderburg.
Oh, good catch. you very much.
Good evening, my name is Danielle Funderburg. Oh, is it?
Timer.
Can you hear? Okay, great. My name is Danielle Funderburg. I am at 39047 Buckingham Drive in Romulus. I am here because I have a new position. I am Sfsmc's Young Professional Programs Coordinator. It is a program for youth ages 14 to 24. This year, we are doing 2 different programs. We have a program for 14 to 17-year-olds, which is a summer employment opportunity where our students can have a paid work experience, and they get career work readiness workshops, and it's 6 of those, and those are incentivized. Our 18 to 24 program, which is what I call our traditional model, is an online program where our students can earn a certification in healthcare, transportation, IT, and manufacturing. Those are our high growth, high wage, high demand occupations. Those are also, they get a paid work experience after they get their certification. We pay for an online certification course valued up to $3,000. And we also give them career work readiness workshops as well, which are also incentivized. And so in front of you is information about each of those programs. With the third one is actually all of the youth programs that are under Sfsmc. We work with American Job Centers throughout the Outwayne County area. And so Romulus and Belleville's area would be employment and training designs, which is in Wayne Westland. And so those would be, that's where the youth would sign up. There is a link on the flyers at the bottom. And on the youth one, it says that the deadline is June 10th, but that deadline has been extended. There are 10 spaces available for that. And then for the other traditional model, there's 15. Our hopes is that we get 25 individuals, so then the next time we apply for grant funding, we can increase those numbers. The SIP Youth Summer Opportunity is a pilot program that I'm working with Belleville and Romulus. And so, again, if you can provide the link, they will be able to sign in on an application. These particular programs, the youth have to be WIOA eligible, which is the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. And so there is certain criteria that they would need to have in order to be eligible to participate. And my 3 minutes are up.
Yep.
Your 3 minutes are up.
Thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, just let me know.
Where can we find the requirements? I'm sorry.
So the requirements are on Michigan's Labor of Employment Opportunities page. So if you just type in WIOA, you'll be able to pull up, and it'll give you like criteria. But the normal criteria is they have low income, maybe they might be foster children, a foster child, maybe they might be homeless,
Okay.
maybe they may be a parent, young parent. And so there are just different criteria outlined.
Board members, I will allow, if you have any questions, I know this is public comment, but because this is more like information, a presentation like, so I'll give you another couple of more minutes if there are any board members who would like to address Ms. Vanderburg.
Welcome. How is transportation provided for these students, both to the education base and then to the employment base?
So they would have to have transportation. There are supportive services that will help them with that transportation piece, but we encourage them to have transportation.
How many hours a day?
They will work anywhere between 20 to 25 hours a week, so 4 to 5 hours a day.
So this is strictly a work program, or this is an education-based program also?
It's
Or
a little bit of both. So the career work readiness workshops will give them information on those soft skills. So I'll give you an example. We have Who Am I, which is a personality test and a career aptitude test. We do financial aid and financial literacy workshops, resume writing, interviewing skills, job retention, and I feel like I'm missing one because there's 6 of them. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any additional questions?
Thank you.
Okay, all right,
Thank you.
Okay.
I'd like to make a little comment on that. I don't know if anyone here knows it. Sue might know this, but I was a CETA kid. I was one of those impoverished children who barely, most of the time didn't have a place to live, and I worked for the CETA program, and that's how I got my job for the schools. And so I know those programs work. Back then we had, I'm trying to remember his last name, forgive me. His name was Bill. It wasn't Musham, it was something else. And he ran the program, and he found us jobs, and I would work every summer in our schools, moving furniture, weed whipping, cutting grass, and stuff like that. And I was supposed to go to Central Michigan to wrestle after high school. My mom couldn't take care of herself. And so I decided to take a season off, the fall season, and ended up getting a really good job for the schools and been here ever since. So I know those programs work. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we got to do an introduction here. If you want to move to your next item, and I'll introduce them. And then I'm going to ask the board, if possible, to amend the agenda, since they're both here to give us the renewal information, so these fine gentlemen can clean up and head home to their families. They're both really early starters. But if you want to go ahead, and then I'll introduce them for you. Unless there was more public comment.
No, that's what I was
Okay.
gonna, do we have additional public
Sorry.
comment? Okay, so the next item is the presentation from Sfsmc Renewal. So they're doing a presentation, so is there, we wanna amend the,
Well, I know that and under it says,
yeah, we
Yeah,
gotta do a
we've got
motion to
that.
amend the agenda. But we are
We have-
doing the, prior to the consent. So
Can we,
what we'll do is when we get to the consent agenda, then we'll do the amend. So,
Thank
so
you for
right now,
doing
we'll do the presentation.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I'd like to introduce to you Rodel Endeluz. He is the Director of Area Operations for SFE. And then our very own Chef Carter Knowles. He's been our chef for this, basically the COVID season, and he's who provided us with a wonderful meal. So I'd like to introduce these gentlemen.
Good evening, Board. Good evening, Madam President.
Good evening.
It's a pleasure to be here and be a part of the community. Looking forward to being able to do this presentation for you and also ask some questions, so if we can go ahead and get started.
excuse me, Madam President, we just need a microphone a little
Oh,
bit,
sorry.
because we're streaming.
Is that
Yes,
better?
thank you.
Okay. Again, my name, thank you for that great introduction, Bill. My name is Rodel Endeluz. I am the Director of Area Operations for the Detroit metro area. The guy next to me who takes a better picture is our chef, Chef Carter Knowles. Not present here is our nutritional coordinator, Rachel Doom, and our administrative assistant, Tyler Enos. So today we just want to kind of go over what it's been like for the last couple of years that we have been your food service company. We're going to go over participation, revenue update, current feeding model, students first, our staffing, and of course looking forward. We've had a very, very strong position from a participation and revenue standpoint. Obviously, we have increased meals, and you'll see that in a little bit later slide. But We've also, one of the great benefits of doing more meals and having good food is operating in a financial surplus, which is where we are right now. So on our first year as your food service management company, we finished with in combination of hybrid, take-home meals, so forth and so on, we did 258,116 meals. This past year, we nearly doubled that with 427,407 meals, an increase of 169,000 meals. As you can see pictured on here are some of the meals we presented or we did for our students. I believe this one is our Thanksgiving, our infamous Thanksgiving luncheon, which I had when I came here, and it was extremely good, one of the best ones in the area. One of the things that we wanted to do is making sure that we are always in touch with our students. So we've, Chef Carter here has met with the student president about adding vegan and vegetarian meals, and we're working on that for the upcoming year. As a company, we're looking at alternative proteins such as the Impossible meat. You guys have probably seen a lot of that in your groceries. And so we just want to make sure that we have a very, very good recipe to be able to utilize alternative proteins. And so we are going to create more vegan and vegetarian type menu items, and you should start seeing that in the fall. One of the things that we wanted to do is making sure that every single one of our team members have felt appreciated and valued, especially over the last couple of years. It felt like we worked 2 years straight, and with hardly any breaks and with all the ups and downs. So one of the things that we have been doing is making sure that they are properly trained. We've incentivized through the Employee of the Month program, safety awards for people that do their jobs, with the utmost care, making sure that they work safely. And then one of the things that we're doing is the end of the year employee luncheon. One of the things we also did was a kind of holiday. Did we do a holiday type dinner or we do stuff for them all the time, making sure that they know and understand. Chef Carter has done an excellent job really bridging the gap, especially coming from a different food service management company and putting forth a different type of training program from cooking from scratch, to be able to make sure that the employees all have the buy-in for our program. Currently, right now, we have every particular staff member that we have working will be returning next year. We're not reducing any positions. As a matter of fact, we have current four open positions. We might end up having to increase the number of staffing for the upcoming year, just to be, in a situation in where we could be more prepared for things that might take place. This past year, we've had a couple of building issues from building, the whole entire staff going down with COVID issues and things like that. We want to be able to respond better and make sure that we're able to still do what we're supposed to do and things of that nature. So we're looking at some programs that will be able to assist us with that. Obviously, last year was a challenge year for staffing with every particular area of business, and it was as it was for us as well. So moving forward, this upcoming summer, we're looking at spend down of excess funds of $177,000. Some of the things we're looking for that are new ovens for the schools, serving lines, steam tables, high school and new steamers for the high school and middle schools, and hot holding boxes to make sure food stays hot and fresh. One of the great things about operating a program that does really well, obviously the meals have increased. Carter has done a stellar job of managing the business, managing the cost, increasing meals. one of the things that works to our benefit and is really a direct benefit of good business practices is that we end up having to have what we call excess funds. In the state of Michigan or the USDA, they required it as a CEP. They required that you have 3 months operating in your general fund for food service, and anything above that has to be returned as an investment back into the program, which is a great benefit for us, because that gives us the opportunity to be able to invest in people, invest in the machines or cooking equipment that our employees have been using. Like I said, for 2 years, it seems like as if we did not take a break. Each and every one of the equipment we have been using have had no breaks for the last couple of years, and we have been literally pedal to the metal with them. So some of them probably need to be replaced, upgraded, and it also help for better food quality. Again, we just want to thank you for your time. We look forward to continuing to be a part of the Romulus community. And if you have any questions, we'd love to be able to answer.
Thank you. At this time, is there any board members who have any questions for? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, welcome, and thank you for your service. My question is, and you touched on it a little bit, how did we wind up with so much excess?
Well, so that's, again, we have increased meals, and the part of the reason also is because this past year we were operating under an SSO, and the SSO has a higher reimbursement rate because of the season that we were in. That helped, or I should say, assisted in growing that funds, because we were doing more meals with a higher reimbursement rate. That's part of the reason. More than likely, I want to make sure that you guys know there's possibly, currently right now, we might be in the same situation for next year, just because, as you can see, we grew meals by 160-some thousand meals. I don't know if you guys have been here, especially here in this lunchroom around lunchtime. I mean, kids love the food here. They just really, I do. I when I come, I like to come before lunch and beat the rush, personally.
Okay, so I have a list of questions.
Yes, ma'am.
So, is this replacement equipment?
Some.
Or some of it is?
Some and some are upgraded, ma'am.
Okay, so I see that you want 5 or 6 steam tables?
Yes, ma'am.
Where are they going to be used at?
We're going to use those in each one of the elementary schools and the high school.
So you will be serving, so my question is, who will be serving from those steaming tables?
It'll still be our same staff. We're just updating the equipment that's there now.
Okay, because I know you have a cold table with the fruits and the vegetables, and the kids are welcome to come up and help themselves.
Yes, salad bar.
So my concern is, if you have a steam table at an elementary school, are you going to have staff serving that food, or is it expected that the kids will be serving themselves?
The staff always serves the food.
I understand that at the windows, currently, at the windows they serve, but my question is truly, are they going to be standing at a steam table, in front of the steam table, so those kids don't reach across?
Yes.
Right, because
Okay.
they don't stand at the cold.
Right, okay, so that's one of the questions. What is the likelihood that the other food services organization would need this exact equipment? So is your requirement or your request the same as any other food service company might come in and say, oh, this is great, we have this? Or would they say, we're not going to use this type of food
They're going to
service?
love it.
They would
All
love
the
it.
equipment that we're ordering and trying to get in here will help each one of the schools prepare the food much better quality, and they'll have better time to save it and hold it.
Okay, because right now at the elementary schools, we just have a warming oven. We don't have
Yes.
anything that can cook.
That's what we're replacing. We're going to upgrade each one of those.
So they will have the ability to cook food in those ovens rather than just heat up.
Exactly. They'll be able to cook their food, so you don't have to, satellite it from a high school or anywhere else. They'll be able to cook the pizzas in an oven that is actually ventless, electric, so They can cook just about anything that we can make in a high school, now they'll be able to do it in the elementaries.
Okay, thank you, because that's been a concern of mine, because today I was at one of the elementary schools, and I'll be bitterly honest with you, there was no protein in any of the lunches. A lot of sweets. That's basically what it was, carbs and sweets. And,
It was a half a day today. I think we only had breakfast.
no, they
No,
took lunches
they
home.
do both.
Oh,
They
okay.
take
Bag
lunches home.
lunches, okay.
Right. The peanut butter and jelly was soy butter. Is there a reason why we're serving soy rather than peanut butter?
Well, most schools do not allow peanuts in them.
Okay.
Right.
Do we have an allergy, do we have allergy issues in our buildings?
None that we have
We had
personally.
one building
Okay.
a long time ago, but yeah,
Okay.
no.
Because I know from years past, we've always had the peanut butter and jelly. The soy is not good for anybody really, but yeah, there was no protein today in any of the lunches that those students took home. It was all sweets.
Okay.
And also, one thing that I noticed is excess food being not returned to the kitchen that the kids aren't eating, and the staff is being told we don't take food back. So the fruit cups and things like that are just being accumulated.
Well, anything that is not sealed, we can't reserve.
A fruit cup is sealed though, right?
Yeah.
So there was probably 50 of those, probably 100 boxes of raisins. And this is in one room.
Okay, well,
So are we being billed for those unused, ingested items?
well, each school has a share table where they usually, if there's something that can be reused, they take it and they put it on the share table for another student who wants to have a little more lunch.
Have over 100 boxes of raisins that aren't being consumed, wouldn't we think to replace that with something that the kids like? And probably 50 packages of applesauce and peaches, the fruit cups, that the kids aren't eating. Wouldn't we want to, I mean, do you do a survey on what the kids like? How are we setting up the menus?
We do both. You know, sometimes it's kind of hit and miss, especially as of recent, the last 3 or 4 months with all the supply chain issues we've been running. It's very hard for us to be able to customize menus as best as we possibly want it to be, especially towards the end of the year. One of the things we wanted to do is make sure that each particular meal that we serve is reimbursable. So sometimes if we give them a fruit, you know, they have an option. Obviously, if the fruit bar is open, they can have an option of 3 or 4 different types of fruits. But raisins might be a much easier or much, you know, is also considered as a fruit, is just a dried fruit that goes a little bit easier. And I understand some people might not like it, but we cannot count a reimbursable meal without it. So what Carter is saying is that we have what we call a shared table, which means that if you do not like your box of raisins, you can put it in a table, and anybody that likes raisins, maybe ate their box and they want another box, they can have that particular raisin. But that's the reason why. And one of the things too is that we definitely understand the number of product that might be going back. It's also one of the things that we want to try and be cautious is that we don't really understand the nature of cross-contamination, and sometimes when kids and students or whatever, you know, touches one particular product, we want to make sure that we protect everybody else, most especially, you know, not just our students, but also the people that are handling the products. So, you know, just like when we, you know, nowadays, I was just at Starbucks today. They don't let you have a, you know, the sugar packets and everything are all behind the counter now because of the nature of how things kind of get passed along. And you have to ask them for, you know, when it used to be that there was a counter full of creams and sugars and things like that. So that's part of the reason.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Powers, I think you had a question.
Yes, so I have a question as far as, and Secretary Evans, thank you for bringing up the menu, because that's been a question that I've had as a board member and a parent. I follow the menus that are posted online but often see that what is posted online and what is offered to students are very different. Like we will have, I think for today, there was a turkey wrap or another option with protein. And so there's a variance there. And I know I have a child at the middle school who says we get pizza every day. But so that's not what's showing on the menu. So my question is, and I know this was your first year and you came with a menu, have you had an opportunity as we talk about going into next year to find out what students like and give and actually have offerings there on lunch that are aligning with the menus that are posted online, so that if they don't like it, we know to pack something?
Definitely. I think Chef Carter had discussions with the high school at the earlier, probably this past spring. And then next year, we plan to survey, middle school, elementary school. And yes, I wish I could promise and tell you that almost, for anybody that prints, or I should say publish, we make our menu almost 60 days, sometimes 90 days in advance. Sometimes things take place in where we are not able to get what we order. There was a period just probably 4 months ago where we got a call that there was no more 5-compartment plates. We were having a hard time getting beef, and that was part of our menu, and that's why we're starting to look into alternative type proteins, because to combat, or I should say, things that might happen even for next year. We've learned a lot this past year, and we're look forward to be able to make some adjustments based on what we've learned. But that's what's happened this past year.
Okay.
If I
Trustee
may-
Powell.
And my other question is, I know that every year our cafeteria fund has an excess in it. And in the past, that's what we've used to purchase the monitors in the high school cafeteria and then different equipment. So to have that excess is not uncommon. But how is it decided what we need? I know that before, when we purchased those menu monitors and we had, I think, scrolling things of what would be served and all of that, I think our Director of Finance and Business Administration and staff members kind of weighed in on what the needs were in the individual buildings. So have we received feedback from our central office and as well as our building administrators on what equipment is needed that we're lacking?
Yeah, I believe we had several meetings with Bill and administration regarding discussing, how can we improve in each particular building, not just marketing wise, but also quality of food. And so we identified the equipment that we have listed as part of our spend down to be ones that would elevate our program better.
I have one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
Your point of sale program, electronics, I understand that that's not being used. Everything's being handwritten.
Yes,
Can
ma'am.
you-
So again, this year we have what we call a waiver from the USDA. We are not operating on National School Lunch Program. We're using a SSO. So one of the things that gave us the opportunity is being able to use a meal count sheet, which is something that a lot of the districts are utilizing. It is an acceptable way of being able to count meals. Again, some of the waivers that are in place, even when it comes to, say, shutdowns, it would be better to be able to use meal count sheets if a student is picking up 5 days worth of meals. So, we couldn't possibly have a POS system that works that. So all of those things have been put in place. However, this upcoming year, we're very, very excited about getting back to being able to use MyStar system. So We're looking forward to being able to retrain our team members this summer and getting back to utilizing our POS system, because we are, all the waivers end June 30th. So beginning July 1st, or I should say the fall season, for us, we will have to have a different type of accountability.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
Yes,
Mr. Garland?
I'd like to help a little bit with the equipment situation. A few things affect our equipment. One, the life expectancy for any commercial piece of equipment is at the max about 5 years. Then you need to replace it. It starts not keeping temp, not heating properly, and freezing and cooling properly. Not to mention, which I don't have to tell any of you, Romulus has this amazing electrical system that just seems to go out when it's a blue sky day. So that eats up our equipment, and we've had to work really closely with Chef about making sure that we try to watch these power outages and the equipment use. And as Rodell mentioned, we've been like on double shift. We took really good care of our babies, and that's one thing I'm proud of. Last summer, the summer before, we did a lot of good work in feeding children that really needed it, but it was like working an extra year, or at least an extra half a year. And so a lot of that equipment is at the end of the life, and I'm happy that they are going back to having some oven type things and where they can do more, prepare more, and provide more. You know, we're all still, and I know this sounds like an excuse, but we're all still coming out of this COVID stuff and just getting our footing. And so we try to work collaboratively with most of the purchases. I don't tell them what to buy food-wise, but they usually get our input on, can this piece of equipment fit? Do we have the right power? Those type of things.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Yeah, make a motion to,
I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda to include the
move.
motion for
Move.
food service coordinator compliance.
Item
believe-
number 11B, to move to the first
Oh,
item.
Yes, I'm sorry, 11B, move it up to,
First item prior to the consent agenda.
correct. Move above the
All those-
consent.
All those in favor?
Wait, I have amendment also, and I do have a question on that. Is that action item to extend the contract, or is that what, are we approving what is being purchased with the cafeteria fund?
That's,
I know, I'm asking about the, okay, but so we'll do both?
All of that is
The
included.
purchasing and the, okay,
All that's included.
and,
there's no purchasing, that's just the renewal.
okay.
Shelby Freyr's team worked really diligently with Chef Knowles and making sure that we can get this, because what we want to do is we want to get it board approved first and then send it, because the MDE has to approve it as well by the end of the month. So that's why, yeah, that's our renewal for next year. It's not an extension or anything, it's just a renewal for the contract.
All those in favor?
Well, I have another amendment, I'm sorry, for the consent agenda. I'd like to also remove bills for payment, because I have a question on that under superintendent's report. And also add an action item for posting the director of curriculum position.
What action item?
And those anywhere. So it would be to move up the action item for SFE, and before that, the bills, remove the bills for payment from the consent agenda, because I have a question, and then add an action item to post for the curriculum position.
She's asking.
Yeah.
She wants to, normally when we have an action item, we bring that in as a FYI for discussion, and we want to follow the same protocol. So what we could do is add your action item under the communication of the board members for communications, and then follow the same procedures that we usually do,
Yeah.
and bring it back as an action item.
Well, that's fine,
At the-
just for the
at the-
consent agenda, I
right,
asked that
so-
we remove the
Right, so
the
no
bills.
action item, we can bring that, you could bring that up under communication of board members, and we can have, okay, when you have that opportunity, instead of adding it as an action item. So right now, what we're gonna do is, we're going to remove, she's gonna
That's
remove,
because so maybe we should handle, Madam Chair, the consent agenda first, and then have a separate motion to amend the agenda.
you're running two things.
So I move that the Board of Education accept the consent agenda as amended to remove the bills for payment under the first item of the report of the superintendent.
Madam Secretary. And also move up action item number 11B
11B to the first item.
to the first item.
That's an agenda thing, no, not a consent, but yeah.
Okay.
Support.
Action made to to approve the consent agenda with the first action item to remove from the consent agenda the approval of the bills to the first item under the superintendent, and to move the action item B, 11B, as our first item on the agenda. Madam, action item was made by Powell, support by Evans. Madam Secretary, roll call.
Terrell? Piles?
Yes.
German?
Yes.
Wester?
Yes.
Evans, yes. Kennard?
Yes. Motion passed. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine in nature by the Board of Education and will be acted upon by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items. If any member of the board or any citizen requests discussion of an item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will become the first item of business under the report of the superintendent portion of the agenda. A, approval of the minutes for the Board of Education, May 23rd, 2022 regular meeting. Number 2, May 23rd, 2022 closed session, June 8th, 2022 special meeting. The next item, which is now C becomes B, is the approval of personnel actions as submitted by the Human Resources Director, Dan Scott. Employment of Emma McFarland, teacher for Rhombus Community Schools, effective 2022-23 school year, and Stephanie Trudent, district school psychologist, effective with the 22-23 school. So move that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda as amended.
We just did that.
And we just did that. All right. Supported by Evans. Powell made the motion. First item, next item, number 8 on the agenda is report of the interim superintendent. What we'll have is the action item for the food service management.
I actually have a question, because I pulled the bills for payment.
We moved the
We-
action
item-
item to be first. This actually be
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
Well, when you remove something from the consent agenda, it's supposed to be the first thing, but that's fine.
Okay. Action item. So,
Move that the Board of Education accept the contract renewal agreement for the FSMC cost reimbursable contract with Southwest Food Service Excellence, named as the FSMC, for the period of July 1, 22 through June 30, 23. Each year of this contract renewal, the Food Service Management Company, FSMC, submits their proposed contract increase from the previous year to the district. The 22-23 meal and meal equivalence rates are listed in the presented contract renewal agreement. FSMC cost reimbursable contract. The district must then seek board approval of the contract. A board-approved contract is then sent to the Michigan Department of Education for approval. This is renewal of year 2. The implications is food service fund. Exhibits our contract agreement page and acknowledgement for the contract renewal.
motion Motion by Evans, support by Wester. Any discussion? Any board member?
I have a question.
Trustee Powell.
So in this contract, for clarification, I know a year ago, we asked whose responsibility it was to hire the lunch person, staff, I don't want to say lunch mom, and I think we were told that it's the food service company, but there's been a conflict, so I just want clarification on that and discussion if that's something that we need to include.
Mr. Garland,
I can
can you
answer
please
that.
address that?
Is this on? Yeah, okay, I can answer that. Initially, we wanted the food service company to do it, but it was not in the contract. So we asked SFE to try to hire, but it is still not part of the contract. They have worked toward doing that. So again, we can encourage that, but it was not originally part of the RFP, the request for proposal that we went out for. We do need that help, obviously, but do you have any thoughts on that, Shep, or?
We typically staff and hire based on the number of positions and the classifications based on the request for proposal. We would, of course, help, support, and assist whatever we could do. However, the scope of the contract from which we have agreed to only includes food service workers in the food service department. Lunch aides typically, or I should say, depending on the classifications, move from not just the lunchrooms, but also in the playground, which is part of instructional time, which we do not have the opportunity to govern at this time.
Thank you. Dr. Witherspoon.
Thank you, President Kennard. We understand the need for lunchroom supervisors, et cetera. So we are trying to work out a strategy where we can provide the assistance that you need, and that is under discussion as we speak.
Thank you. Vice President Wester.
Excuse me, I'm kind of loose, trying to get my voice back. How, especially at elementary, Bill, maybe you can answer this question in terms of how many lunch moms or dads are needed for lunches and their time frame that they work. Is it like 2.5 hours a day, 3 hours? Because that would be really something hard for the food service company to get someone that's just gonna come in and work 3 hours a day.
Yeah, for years, we were blessed with grandparents.
Right.
And mothers that were looking to support the schools and to spend time with their children. But we have not been able to do that. I know in the past, there were typically I remember at elementaries, at least 4 at elementaries, and we had 6 or 8 at the high school, middle school. And again, the hardest part is it's usually 2 hours max, and a lot of people who are looking for employment don't need 2 hours. So if we were going to do this, we would, I think, and this is just a suggestion, try to make it more palatable, maybe more time, maybe an educational proponent, maybe, somehow they could help with something and give them more hours, if we're gonna look outside of that. Many of our older community are still reluctant to be around our little beautiful Petri dishes, our children, at the elementary level. They're still scared.
Okay, maybe we might want to contract with EduStaff because maybe, put it out. Because, that's who we use for the 2.5 hours, and then maybe to get another, if there's, one could be like a crossing guard or, be able to give him or her some an additional hour in the morning and in the afternoon to help with getting the kids in the school and getting them ready.
That's
That may be able
who
to
we've used in the
encompass
past was EduStaff.
that. Okay, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
Bus drivers, as Ms. Tenney said.
Okay, thank you. I know it's rough trying to get people in, and like you say, for 2.5 hours a day, they're like, I need a real job. What can I do? But gas being $6
But our
a
dear-
gallon.
Right.
By the time they get there, it's not even worth it.
And our dear principals are wore out from.
They
Yeah.
are.
All right, thank you. We'll kind of research some stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
I have a question.
Trustee Powell?
So, it's not stated in the motion sheet, and I'm trying to scan through the contract. What is the, percentage increase in the district cost for the renewal for the second year? 2.5%? Okay. And the cost of the contract, is that in here too? If so, I'll look for it in here.
Okay.
Okay. My other, one last question, Madam Chair,
Yes.
Is our food service company writing for the fresh food and vegetable grants? Or is district staff doing that? I know that's something that I believe is in here, but I know we had some overlap when we had Ms. Miller. So I just wanted to clarify that. Is the food service company providing someone who's writing for the fresh food and vegetable grant?
So, as your food service management company, we are able to assist with how to fill out that grant. But as you know, that grant is filled out in a very secured website that is only able to be filled
Right.
out by somebody that is a level 5.
Sure.
However, in almost every grant, we are right there typically next to the chair of the person that's doing it, and we assist with answering every particular question. Just as much as it was for every grant. We had a supply chain assistance grant that we claimed this year. There's equipment grants we've claimed this year. Every particular grant, Carter, myself, or somebody from our compliance department usually puts forth a sheet that assists whoever is filling out the grants.
Okay.
Thank you. There are no additional questions? Yeah.
Terrell? Thank you. Wester?
Yes.
German?
Yes.
Kennard?
Yes.
Piles?
Yeah. Yes.
Evans, yes. It's unanimous.
Vote passed unanimous.
Thank you for your
Thank you very
presentation and your service.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for the service today. We appreciate it very much. All right, the next item on the agenda is report of the interim superintendent, and the first item of action for discussion is the bills, approval of the bills for payment as submitted by accountant Sarah Khan in the amount of $985,939.60.
But not total cost. Yes, I am,
So
I'm
there's
sorry.
there's for discussion?
Yes, my question was, and not in disagreement, just asking for clarification. I know that the curriculum that we had purchased, Amplify, we were told that we would not get refunded what we've received, but we wouldn't have to make any additional payments. So my question is, because there is a payment of, I don't have it in front of me, $292,000 on the check register. My question is, why are we paying that amount? I thought we were only paying for what we received, but no future payments. So that's my question on that, just for information.
Dr. Witherspoon, is that something you can answer, or do we need the? Yeah.
Are you talking about the same company or a different company?
No, the same one. So we had the CKLA Amplify. And I know Ms. Krantz was a bulldog on our behalf, with getting that. And unfortunately, they weren't willing to let us ship back at our expense the curriculum we've received, but said that we wouldn't have to make payments because this is a 5-year curriculum. So the total cost was for 5 years. So we were stuck with what we had, but we didn't have to make the payments for the other 4 unused years. But the amount on the check register is the amount of the entire 5 years. So that's my question. No, it's, if you look at our motions on I think, August 10th and September 13th, we approved Amplify for elementary, and there were two amounts. K2 was one amount, and 3.5 was another amount, and those two amounts combined represent the 298 that we're approving today. And then there was a different amount for 6 through 8 that was 1 year, 2021/22 only. And that's been paid, so we wouldn't get a refund of that, because that was 1 year. But for the elementary 5-year, I'm asking why we're paying that amount in full.
Is that something that you can address here? Okay. Okay.
Huh?
I am not aware of Amplify for elementary on any bill. There should not be anything listed in the invoices. $292,000 is being asked for, I think it was part of the consent agenda, for the collaborative classroom literacy curriculum that included both reading and writing. We are waiting on a reimbursement of $262,000 from CKLA for materials they have not shipped, and we put a stop to that. Now, the middle school had been using Amplify, including an electronic version of that. So if there's a bill in your packet, which I haven't seen that line item, but I'm assuming that could be for the middle school.
So, I can't talk tonight. CKLA Amplify is what we approved. On September 13th, 2021, we approved the 200, we approved a 5-year curriculum program for grades 3 through 5, and at the same time, we approved a 5-year curriculum for grades K through 2. That amount totals $292,869.68, which is on the check register in this packet. It says Amplify, and it is, I don't have the check number, I can look it up, A something. Thank you, Ms. Evans. So my question is this $292,869.68 is for 2 invoices, one K2 and one grades 3-5 for 5 years. But we only used this for 1 year. So what was explained to us is we wouldn't be billed, we couldn't get a refund on the materials, but we wouldn't be billed for the additional 4 years of using this. So my question is, why are we approving it on the check register? And then also the refunded amount, I can bring that up later because that's not on the check register. But yeah, so on September 13th, we approved 3-5 and K2, and then on August 10th is when Ms. Nataro and Mr. Thompson came, and we approved for 6th through 8th grade only for this current school year. And so that was at a lower cost of $43,122.24. So we'd get no refund on that, but my question is regarding the 5 years of Amplify.
I don't, if there was, to my knowledge, we have not authorized additional payment to CKLA for the elementary K2 or 3-5 since I came on board in January. And the company knew full well that we were not going to be using their materials.
So that's on our check register, on the consent agenda, that's why I brought it up.
Madam-
No, I know, that's why I'm saying, because I know
Madam
you said
President.
that.
Yes,
so-
yes,
We'll
Dr.
have to get back and do some more research.
Yeah, I think the finance team needs to look into this and address Trustee Powell's question, because they're not here to be able to give the answers, and responses to it at this time, and we do not. And I know you're not aware of it, and you haven't seen it, and this sounds like it's an extenuating or something that needs to be researched. the one thing I'm gonna ask is that, Dr. Witherspoon, that we respond to this, you know, as expeditiously as we can. You know, I'm gonna turnaround time is, you know, what we call substantially, that we can respond to this request.
The reason it's just ironic
Yeah.
that the consent agenda for the recently reviewed materials were for $292,483. So it's ironic that it's the same, almost the same.
Almost the
exact-
same.
Yeah.
But
so I-
that's a different, that's not on the consent agenda. We have those action items on the agenda, but I was referring to the check register, yeah.
That though,
the-
it's odd
do you
that
know
it's,
what? I saw the consent
The invoice date
agenda,
is January though.
and I saw the quotes in the consent agenda. So I'm
Yeah.
wondering if there's a mix-up there.
yeah,
That's my
so we need to
question.
have that looked
Okay.
into.
Right.
Th-
Because
we-
I fully expected the consent agenda to have you just voted on those materials.
Right.
Yes.
No,
And that's exactly what
That's what we normally do, but the trustee Powers had a question pertaining to the billing. Because of the amount, they're similar. So, right, well, you can't answer that right now. The finance person would have to take that, and thank you very much.
So Madam Chair,
Yes,
Ms. Krantz, to your point, the consent agenda didn't have the curriculum purchase she's representing. It's on it's number 8, A, B, and C on the regular agenda. So what I'm referring to is the consent agenda, bills for payment, and we were invoiced in January for Amplify in the amount of, I don't even say it.
2009.
Yeah, 200 and some, yeah,
2,000.
exactly. And so it wouldn't be with the new curriculum because we're just learning of that. This was in January. So I just want to make sure if Amplify, if that company told Ms. Krantz we wouldn't be paying future payments, I think this was sent on June 3rd, or written on June 3rd, has it been
yeah, I
sent to
understood,
them?
that's what you were
Right, we
referring to.
understood.
We understood
Yeah.
that, trustee Powers. But the person to respond to that is not here, to
And
give us that information, to clarify that for clarification.
And Ms. Freyer is currently seeking the reimbursement that is due to us in the amount of $262,000. So this could all be part of that she can bring up, and
We don't want to assume, but I'm hearing what the trustee is asking. She want to make sure there's not duplication. That's what I'm hearing, for clarification, right,
So,
within, but
yeah.
this is two separate things. Two separate things, okay, we don't want to get it mixed up. All right, thank you.
Do you understand?
Yeah, we understand, trustee Powell.
So has the amount on this check register been paid then? Or is
Yes, it has,
Okay,
so
then
we
need to look
need,
into that.
yeah.
Okay,
The
so-
administration needs to do their due
right.
diligence. They need to clarify it and come back to the board with their findings.
So I move that the Board of Education approve the bills for payment as presented be approved.
Is there support? Support. It has been moved by Powell, support by Wester. Madam Secretary, roll call.
German. Kennard.
Yes.
Terrell. Wester. Evans, yes. Piles.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Motion passes. So back to the item on the agenda, and that's report from the interim superintendent, Dr. Witherspoon. Do you have any district reports and updates for discussion and other?
Thank you, President Kennard. I have two things that I'd like to bring to the board's attention. We've been advised that the heat index for Wednesday may present a problem for us in terms of transportation, et cetera. So we are examining the potential cancellation of the last day of school because of that heat warning. It's not that it's certain, but we're looking at it right now. And I've been advised by other districts in the county, and several of them have either completed their school year already. Some are saying we're just going to go for it no matter what because that's in their program. But I'm looking at this in terms of risk factor for our children, so we may be the lone standout if we cancel that. If we do cancel, there are certain activities in the district that we're going to allow to continue provided that we can find a way for those children to participate, for example, the 8th grade graduation. We're not going to cancel it, but if we don't have the transportation for it, then we'll have to see if the parents will, or find a way to get the children to attend school for that service.
Hey, Doc, if, Dr. Witherspoon, is this on? Okay. It might, if it pleases the board, to possibly move it to the high school auditorium. If we were to cancel school or that, there's just no air in that gym at the middle school, no matter how hard we try. It is going to be dangerously warm. Where we could possibly, if things happen where the index is, like you say, and I know Detroit Public Schools is already talking about it in some other schools, and we were going to have 8th grade graduation or any other step-up program, you know, that would be where we might be able to have it. Just thought I'd bring that up.
I appreciate that, but the issue is transportation. And the other second recommendation that we'll be taking under advisement is, if we move forward, what are we going to do, when we're going to do it, and where. So I appreciate Mr. Garland's input there. Are there any questions about that? Because I know this is a sensitive issue for both parents because of people possibly coming in from out of town, et cetera, to witness this, and we're sympathetic and understanding of that. But we may find ourselves in a predicament where we cannot have school. Mr. Garland is going to be giving you, providing you with an update on Merriman situation. If you recall, when we were at our second board retreat, there was a lot of information passed back and forth between us and Mr. Garland, and we had an eviction. They have recently cleared out, and there is an assessment going on as we speak about any damages that may have occurred in that building, and then what the needs of the building are in terms of roofing, plumbing leaks, electrical, whatever. So that will be something that we have to deal. I want to make a general comment about the budget that you're going to be looking at tonight. I appreciate the fact that there's been a lot of back and forth with regard to the budget, which is good, because this is the first time in a long time that you've had a budget. And we encourage you to continue asking questions. And Shelby will be available. She was not available tonight, but she'll be available if there are questions that we can't answer for you here tonight. We'll get those answers to you. But understand that this is does not include detailed or operating budget. This is just a comprehensive budget, and you see general numbers. So that's what's before you, and we appreciate your consideration of that. Other than that, we are not necessarily hiring people, nor are we advertising until we get a packet of vacancies and new positions, changes in positions, changes in definitions of duties, etc., which we put before the board. We want to encourage the board to move expeditiously with this because we are behind the 8 ball now in terms of hiring. We have several vacancies, and we've shifted around some duties and responsibilities, and we still have a couple things to do after this week. I'll maybe coming back to you with some more modifications in terms of our HR package. And unless there are any questions, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Witherspoon, for those FYIs. Is there any questions for any board members on anything that Dr. Witherspoon just communicated to us? If not, the next item on the agenda is action item C, which is the Wayne Westland School Cooperative Education Agreement for 22-23. So move the recommended motion. Any board member can read the motion. Move that the Board of Education approve the Cooperative Education Program Agreement with Wayne Westland Community Schools with a term of July 1, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. The rationale, please refer to the attached documentation from the Wayne Westland Community Schools. This agreement permits certain Romulus students to receive vocational education services provided by and through Wayne Westland. The budget implications is general fund. In your packet, you have exhibits WWCS letter dated May 17, 2020, and the Cooperative Education Program Agreement for 2023.
Support.
It has been moved by Kennard, support by Secretary Evans. Any discussion?
I have one question. What is the FTE funding on this? I haven't had the chance, so if we get, so Wayne Westland is getting 0.25 of the FTE strictly for that class? Or they get 0.25 of the student FTE?
Do we have anyone here who can respond to the, Dr. Weatherspoon?
I'm hesitant to give a definitive answer. I think it's a shared arrangement.
Shared? Okay, very good. I just want to make sure we're getting something.
Okay, is there any other board member? If not, no, any discussions? Madam Secretary, roll call vote.
German? Yes. Piles? Yes. Terrell? Yes. Wester? Yes. Kennard?
Yes.
Evans, yes. Unanimous vote.
Motion approved. The next action item is MASB membership renewal 22-23. So move the recommended motion. Any board member can read the motion.
Move that the Board of Education approve the renewal of membership with the Michigan Association of School Boards for the 22-23 school year with a cost of $5,334. The rationale, MASB supports, promotes, and enhances the important service and leadership of Michigan public schools, public boards of education. The annual renewal of this membership begins July 1, 2022. Budget implications, general fund. Exhibits are the MASB renewal notice, letter from Executive Director Don Watruba, and dues plus video flyer.
Anyone support?
Support.
It has been motion made by Evans, support by Vice President Wester. Any discussion? There's no discussion. Madam Secretary, roll call vote.
Terrell? Yes. Piles? Yes. Evans, yes. German? Yes. Wester? Yes. Kennard?
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is the report of the Interim Executive Director of Instruction, Dr. Yolanda Bloodshaw. The action is the collaborative classroom purchase of K. Let me back up. We have three action items where it is for the purchase of curriculum. So, board members, what we could do for this, we can have a discussion for all three at one time. We can make the motion where it encompasses all three. Okay? So, yes. Okay, so I will read the action, and then I will end it with all three, and then say any discussion, and we can discuss all three. So the action is collaborative classroom purchase K-5 literacy, action Pioneer Valley books purchase K-5 literacy, action Bridges mathematics purchase K-5 mathematics. So move the motion, the recommended motion. Any board member can read the motions. Okay.
Move that the Board of Education approve the collaborative classroom purchase, quote number Q718426, for a K-5 comprehensive literacy program in the amount of $292,483. The funding is through ESSER funds. And note, a refund for the former CKLA program in the amount of $262 is forthcoming, which offsets this program adoption cost. Move that the Board of Education approve the Pioneer Valley books purchase, quote number Q197319, for the 22 K-5 summer school in the amount of $28,275. Budget implications is ESSER funds. Move that the board approve, Board of Education adopt the Bridges K-5 mathematics curriculum, approving the purchase. The Math Learning Center quote Q02871 in the amount of $252,915.90. Budget implications is general fund.
So move that the Board of the move that the recommended motion was read by Secretary Evans, support by Vice President Wester. For all three, any discussion? Sure. Trustee German.
So I'm actually looking at the Pioneer Valley books purchases, and it's saying it's for summer school. And when I look, it says 44 quantities for summer school, and that is a kit. So how is that determined? Why was this quantity determined based on summer school?
Dr. Blushton? Or,
Well, actually, I'll let Dr. Krantz, she's been the one that's been working on everything for me in terms of the resources. So Dr. Krantz, please, thank you.
To address your question, I believe that it was based on semantics of Mark Graham, who is assisting us with our grants, provided the language for use of which budget things would come from. And so these materials are for all K-5, but they will also be used during our summer school experience.
Okay. So it's not just for summer school,
No,
it's for
it
the
is not.
entire. Okay, thank you.
anyone else? Secretary Evans?
So 44 is for a classroom, so you have 44 classroom?
No, what this purchase is for leveled literacy assessments. So when we're working with students, this program will allow the teacher to be sitting right next to a student, listening to them read, and using the inventory that comes with the kit to identify what interventions they need. So it provides individualized instruction versus whole class, everybody receiving the same kinds of instruction. And we wanted to get those materials here to benefit our summer school, and then those will go for one kit per teacher.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Trustee Powell?
I just need to pull up.
Sure.
I know, Ms. Krantz, thank you for replying to my email. The questions I had about the curriculum, I didn't realize you were in the training that day. I'm trying to pull it up and see what my questions were. One is just the reason why this was chosen. I know you said that you talked with teachers and asked for their feedback as to what curriculums. So I'd like to know what about this curriculum, our teachers, why they thought this would be good for our students, and then also when staff will be trained on this, and then how we will measure to make sure that we are getting, what we want, because it's not curriculum is the tool, right, but it's the instruction. So if you could just tell us a bit about that, please.
First of all, I'm just very proud of the process that we used. We, as you know, I had met with every elementary grade level for a full day. I asked them to map out their entire curriculum and all core content areas. From there, I asked probing questions to each individual teacher as to how much time they were spending, how that was aligned with the goals of the district to improve literacy, to improve writing. The prior curriculum had a very limited writing component. So we identified what we would be looking for in the curriculum based on the feedback of analyzing all of the enacted curriculum, if you will, in the classroom. What set this program apart is, and mind you, every teacher had an opportunity to actually look at the materials and to provide insights based on a rubric that we developed so they had a rubric that listed the criteria that we were looking for. So this program came out loud and clearly as meeting the most criteria. We wanted to ensure that there was explicit instruction toward every content standard and every goal for literacy. We wanted the curriculum to have a very much linked reading and writing component. We wanted explicit phonemic awareness and phonics instruction. We wanted there to be opportunity for whole class instruction as well as small group individualized instruction. And if you recall at the board retreat, when I shared that the prior program was all students receiving the same instruction at the same time with no small group instruction. This is a directly opposite approach. I believe that the lack of progress in our reading scores and our reading achievement just district-wide has largely been because we've taught to everyone. And in any classroom, we have students who may be struggling in that subject area. We may have kids that are soaring, and this program allows a teacher to, first of all, identify where those groups of students are, and to hone their instruction with the materials that are in the program that guide teachers to say, if you're seeing this, then do X, Y, and Z. It seemed to meet that challenge that we've not been able to do in the past. And teachers also expressed, and I concur, that the company is called Collaborative Classroom for a reason. Their entire programs are based on students collaborating with one another and building a culture of collaboration in literacy and writing so that a student might have the security and safety to be struggling in writing, and their peers will support that, knowing that they might be a high flyer in math. So the whole structure of how we question literacy, the books they're reading, the selections that are in the teacher manual and in the student materials are all very collaborative and inclusive of all people. And the teachers really identified that as something important, and I was very excited to be able to bring this program as really a gold star standard. And it had such a nice vote with the teachers all pretty unified in that selection. So I feel really good about bringing that to us.
Thank you.
Professional development will occur over the next 3 to 5 years. They all received an introduction of 90 minutes last Thursday. That was basically getting them into the online portal that has tremendous amount of resources. The idea was that when they leave for the summer, they're not worried about where their resources, how can I get into this online piece, so that they can work and begin to hone in on what these materials look like. In August, there will be another full day and a half of training. And then I actually have a meeting tomorrow to outline the professional development that will accompany all of these materials over the next 3 to 5 years. So our PLC time, our early release days on Wednesdays, once a month, our grade level meeting time will all be aligned with the goals for us to implement these programs.
Okay. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Okay, so, I would just like to say thank you very much. One of the things I'm an advocate of, and that's professional development, ongoing training, and making sure that what you did was you're bringing something to our district where the input, it just didn't start with the administration. You reached out beyond. You went into the field, so to speak, and the collaboration across all levels and barriers is important, because those are the individuals who have to teach that. Our teachers, it's important that we have the type of tools and the support, and it's ongoing that they have in order to do their jobs, okay? And so with knowing what we know now versus what we didn't have, what I'm accustomed to seeing and hearing, I have to thank you for that. And we, as a board, our responsibility is to make sure that those things are they're held accountable for, that the assessments are done, PD is done on a regular basis, and it's ongoing and not changing every time we get an administrator, okay, or every time we get someone into our system. We're trying to fix that, okay? And so, with that in mind, as a board, working collaboratively, because we're talking, and we're bouncing left to the right and right in front and across the table. I want everybody to know that. We're communicating across the table among each other, to the left of us and to the right of us, okay? Because we're trying to work so that we can, move forward, not only move forward, but build that confidence, in letting our administration, number one, staff, number two, our students, which is most important, okay? Because this is why we're here. We wouldn't exist without them. And so we want to thank you for that, and hopefully if there's anything else that the board needs to know about, please bring it to our attention. We ask a lot of questions, okay? Our questions are not purpose, they're not intentional, but the questions are so greater understanding, and we hopefully that you'll be patient with us as we're learning along with you, and hoping that as we move forward into administration as well, be patient with us, and we'll be patient with you.
I
Okay?
want to say
Thank you
thank you very much to Mr. Garland, because moving all those programs from one elementary school to the next elementary school, and then coming back and moving them again, and it was really a collaborative effort, even behind the scenes that few people know about, but it worked really well.
And, and one of the things when I came on the board, and we've talked, amongst us, I've communicated with each board member, one of the things was that matriculation of curriculum, from elementary to middle to high school, and picking up once you leave that, so the teachers were able to reach, cross and then keep on and going. And so we're happy to see that's part of this curriculum. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I have one question about the PD, if I may.
Yeah.
You said that you did this PD with all elementary staff, because this is elementary curriculum, correct? And you did the literacy. So did include all elementary teachers?
Yes.
Okay.
It
And
was held, we had like a very limited window when every teacher was
Sure.
present, and we held it during the grade level meeting time that was already built into the contract.
oh, good. And then after that, how did staff respond as to how their preparedness to hit the ground running with this after that PD? Do they feel like they got comprehensive and they feel good with this, or are they requesting more?
Everybody needs more. I felt like we did what we said we were going to do, which is scratch the surface and get them comfortable in knowing, oh, these are all the components, and how I can access more information online about my grade level, etc. So I didn't have an opportunity to ask all of the teachers,
Right.
but I've had no questions.
Just general, okay, so we
Yeah.
will start with this in the fall, correct? Not
Summer.
Well,
November.
we also
Summer.
we have summer opportunities for them as well.
Okay, right.
And right now, Dr. Bloodsaw, yeah, I'll let her explain what she's done with this.
Okay, so in terms of our professional development, I sent a survey to all the teachers. And in that survey, there were certain questions that I asked, and in particular, would you be interested in curriculum work over the summer? I had an overwhelming response of teachers who said yes, from elementary to middle and high school. Several teachers have reached out to me and have asked. We do not have a confirmed calendar date right now because we do not have the resources in. So once the resources come in and we can set that professional development for the summer, it's designed so teachers can get a jump start so that they're not feeling overwhelmed in August when they
Right.
start back. Okay, so that was the whole goal. And not all the teachers, of course, said yes, but many of them did. And so we're going to invite those teachers in. Also, with that with the curriculum work, it would be after the summer school. Many of the teachers are teaching during summer school. So elementary ends at 1 o'clock. So elementary work can begin, so just as an example, like from 1:30 to 3:30. High school work could begin from like 12:30 to 2:30, something
Okay.
like that.
Thank you, yeah, I know we were concerned because we received an inquiry from a teacher about teaching two different curriculums, and so my question was just what supports are needed so staff is comfortable in the fall, and are we putting those in place for
And
them?
one of the things that we also shared with the staff, you know, we're not gonna just dump everything on them all at one time. Yes, it's two core curricular areas, but we're rolling it out so that they are comfortable with it. We're not trying to just totally overwhelm everyone, because we get it, it's a lot of work. And so we're gonna be very intentional, getting feedback from teachers and things of that nature. We've been listening to the teachers.
Good.
Thank you very
And
much.
thank you, Carrie, for your work on this too,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. If there's not any other discussion, motion was made by Evans, supported by Vice President Wester on collaborative classroom purchase K-5 literacy, Pioneer Valley Books purchase K-5 literacy, and Bridges Mathematics purchase K-5 mathematics. Madam Secretary, roll call vote.
German? Terrell? Wester? Piles?
Yes.
Kennard?
Yes.
Evans, yes. Unanimous vote.
Thank you.
Motion on all three
Thank you.
passed. Okay, the next item is report of the Office of the Business of Finance, Dr. Weatherspoon. There's a resolution, annual budget, 22-23 initial budget. So move the recommended motion. Any board member could read the motion.
Move that the Board of Education adopt the initial budget for the 22-23 fiscal year. This 22-23 initial budget was presented by finance consultant Shelby Freyer at our May 23rd, 22 meeting. However, there was no board vote taken. The board requested to consider adoption of this budget at this next meeting. The 21-22 year-end budget was approved at our May 23rd meeting. Michigan's Uniform Budgeting and Accounting Act requires the adoption of the budget before the new fiscal year begins. The proposed 2022-23 budget is built based on a number of assumptions. After the annual financial audit is completed and after the fall 22 student enrollment data is available, a budget revision will be prepared to reflect the most current financial information and projections. Budget implications detailed in attached documents, exhibits resolution of the general operating budget ending June 30, 22 and June 30, 23, district-wide budget ending June 30, 2023.
Is there support? Support. Yes, the motion was made by Secretary Evans, support by Vice President Wester. Is there any discussion?
Dr. Weatherspoon? So you have, I just want to make this known and stated, that you have made the comment that this is an overview of our budget, and the more detailed budget is coming in the future. So that at that point, we will know line items as needed by building and that type of thing. But this is a general practice to submit the overview budget.
Correct.
And I just want to say thank you for that explanation to me when I asked.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. So, is there any other discussion?
I have a question.
Yes, Trustee Powell.
So I had submitted some questions specifically about the budget. One is, what has been identified as our top 2 or 3 priorities for next year, so that we are making sure that the first money spent is on students as opposed to what's left over, and making sure that whatever our priorities are, we can see in the budget the funding for those priorities and the supports that are needed. That's one question. And my other question was, I know that we have pushed a lot of salaries, retirement, Medicare FICA into, and benefits into ESSERS. So my question was also, in 21-22, the current year, what was the total salary expense that was pushed into ESSERS, and also how much are we expecting to do that in next year's budget, so that we are thinking ahead and preparing when the ESSER money runs out in September of 2023, we're making sure that we have enough to sustain these salaries and that the bottom doesn't fall out of us a year from now.
Yes, that's correct. Trustee Powell, you did submit that information. I believe Dr. Witherspoon passed it on to the finance director in terms of they were working on that. Dr. Witherspoon, do you have a timeline in terms of where Trustee Powell's questions can be responded to?
Thank you. There are a couple things that I'd like to comment on. The first one is, you asked a question about what are the district's priorities. The number one priority is instruction and any progress that we can make in terms of instruction. That's why you see the substantial investment of time and energy in terms of the curriculum and the review. If you remember when I interviewed with you, I said you did not have a curriculum to speak of. We were fortunate enough to secure the services of Dr. Krantz, and who is systematically has gone through K-5. I'm going to retain her to also go through middle school and high school. I have the same kind of review and the same kind of collaboration with staff, and then there'll be recommendations using the same model that she's done with K-5. The other part of that number one objective is we want to see at least some movement in terms of student achievement. Now, we don't expect a landslide in one direction, but there's got to be some improvement. And in so doing, we also are worried about not losing any more students. We have to engage our students. And part of the issue that we've been discussing is re-engaging our community and our students. So we're doing a number of things to re-engage students not only in the classroom, but outside of the classroom as well. The next goal we have is we purposely looked at and embraced the declining enrollment projection, and so we budgeted for 2,000 FTEs. We hope that some of the efforts that we're undertaking now will stop that decline and perhaps reverse it, which is why Ms. Frere put in the motion that if we experience an increase in enrollment, the general fund will follow, and we'll have a budget amendment. So we'll be fluid throughout the year. So we're not trying to project anything other than a positive direction for the district. We're having conversations with staff about the messaging, etc. So those things that we are trying to do and also support what we say we're trying to do. You asked about the use of ESSER funds. What I've stated before is that ESSER funds will be utilized where we are eligible to spend that money for 1 year. And we'll get several things done. And if there are positions that are moved over to ESSER, we'll move back to general fund when ESSER money is gone. But there should not be a negative impact on the general fund because we'll have calculated all the things that you mentioned, and we'll find that balance. Okay, so there should not be a hit on general funds. Should we quote sustain enrollment, and our programming reflects the desire of the board and the community to attract more students, to change the culture and climate in the classroom, etc. So those are the things that we're talking about. I don't have the specific number for the payout for teachers for the payroll, but you can generally say that it's going to be at least 80% of our GF money or state aid money, with money from special ed for reimbursement and things like that.
Thank you for that, Dr. Witherspoon, and thank you for saying that our investment in instruction is the priority. And as you can see, our purchase of curriculum follows that priority. So thank you for that.
And training.
Thank you.
What do you say?
He said and training.
Oh, and, yes, training.
Okay, is there any other board member with questions pertaining to that? If not, Madam Secretary, roll call vote.
Terrell? German? Piles?
Yes.
Kennard?
Yes.
Evans, yes. Wester? Unanimous vote.
Motion passes for the resolution of the annual budget 2022-23 initial budget. The next item on the agenda is the Grants Compliance Coordinator proposal. So move the recommendation motion. Any board member could read the motion.
Move that the Board of Education approves the proposal for MGMI services for a state and federal grants compliance coordinator beginning June 1st, 2022, with an ending date of December 31st, 2022, at an hourly rate of $125.
Okay.
Which includes food service grants, no local grants. Maximum hours is 480 hours for a total contract amount of $60,000. The rationale: attached are two proposals which could be a continuation of existing services provided to RCS. Currently, services are offered through financial consultant, the Shelby Frears Company. Proposals, as requested by Shelby Freer, are with our current grants person. These proposals are scaled back options for original proposal that was removed from the board packet dated May 23rd, 2022. Budget implications: grants will be fully funded. Exhibits are the proposals provided.
Is there any support? Support by Powell. Is there any discussion? So before we go into the discussion, I just want the board members to take note that there's options for this particular motion, option 1 or option 2. Okay, so and I know that that was read in the recommended motion, but I want you to make sure that you understand that. So the discussion.
Would you want me to read out option 2?
Yes.
Okay. You said yes, President?
Yes, Vice President.
Okay,
yes.
option 2 does not include the food service or local grants for maximum hours of 410 and a total contract of $51,250. And my motion was to select option 1.
Okay, thank you.
That was your motion to
Yes.
select option
Yes.
1?
Her motion was to select option 1.
Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yes,
Okay.
right.
Yeah,
So
that's
is
what
there
it's
any?
read.
Yeah.
That's what was read, right?
Okay, I just wanted to clarify. Any discussion?
I have a question, Madam
Yes,
Chair.
Trustee Powell.
This goes back to the food service contract. In the past, our food service company has always written for the food service grants. And then we have a district employee with level 5 access who submits that information into the state system. So we did not start paying anyone to do food service grants until a year ago. So, and if you look at food service contracts, the norm is that they have a food service manager who's responsible for that, and then we input the information. So we're already paying for that in our food service contract. So this option, we're going to double pay to have our grant person write for something that the food service should be doing.
Yeah, you know, Trustee Powell, I do remember we had a conversation with that at the board table last year about that particular item. And it was the same question about when we selected SFE, who we normally, they took care of that grant piece. I remember that conversation. So I guess Mr. Garland or Dr. Witherspoon, the question is why we did not apply for that grant this year? Is that,
Well, no,
we applied for the grant,
So
but
we've applied for it, but we found out,
doing the work, who
when we
did the
had
work?
hired Marie Miller, one of the things that we were paying her to do
Right.
was food service grants. And so the board inquired, why are we paying for that as opposed to the food service company doing it?
Correct.
And we were told because they didn't know how, but I'm
So
bringing
they
up
should know
that's-
how.
Yeah.
They should know the how, so,
Yeah.
so Mr. Garland.
Now typically, SFE, they have a component within the contract that they do apply for those grants. Where we're missing is we don't have level 5 to verify and confirm and to do that secondary
Right,
part.
just the input.
And what Casey did, part of Shelby's team, is he went through and just confirmed that all the numbers were right and that everything was good. So I think that's a good discussion to maybe have moving forward. You know, at the board office, I don't know who has a level 5 MEGs now. We have a lot of interim, so I know right now, I think Casey and Shelby and them are doing the job for us, but.
Okay.
So my question, Madam President, isn't about who has the clearance, okay? So my question is, there's a $9,000 difference in what we're going to pay a grant person to do. And we're going to pay somebody $9,000 not to input with level 5, but to actually do the food service grants, which are done by the food service company. That's why I asked that question earlier. And then that information gets provided to the district, and someone with level 5 simply inputs that information, but not at a $9,000 cost.
Madam President,
Dr. Witherspoon.
we are not prepared to go without the additional expertise of the grant coordinator here. And that has been the case in the district for a while. And we do not have the oversight, currently the oversight capability. So without that, we're at risk of whatever is submitted, correctly or incorrectly.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not prepared to go in that direction.
But are we prepared to at least request the food service company does the grant part, so we are only inputting it, so that this brings option 2?
I repeat myself, Madam President.
Yes,
We are
Dr.
not
Witherspoon.
prepared to go this alone. The company, the way they do their work, and I have not seen their work, does not have any oversight from the district at the current time. This ensures that we'll be in total compliance. And there is the access, level 5 access, which is very limited as far as the district is concerned. I don't want a vendor having any access to that.
Absolutely.
So, is it worth $9,000 to risk this or not? And my suggestion to the board is the $9,000 is a rounding error. I encourage you to choose option 1.
Well, my other question on this grants position too is, this was something that a food service obviously was handled by the company, but also the grants is so intricately intertwined with curriculum that is why we've had the curriculum and grants position in the district. And looking at other districts in our area also has that. So I'm concerned about the number of positions that we're adding because we are lowering or changing the standards of what the positions once were. That's just my opinion.
Okay, is there any other board for discussion? Okay, yes. Trustee
Just wanted
Jeremy.
to ask, in regards to this position, whether we pick option 1 or option 2, is all grant funded?
Yes, it is. It's grant funded.
Thank you.
Okay. If no
I'm
other-
sorry, would you explain that, please, President Kennard?
Grant funding means that the funding for the grant is coming fully from funded, not out of the general fund.
Right, for this position?
Yes,
Is
for this position, it's all grant funded.
ESSER or?
So, and usually, no, it says grant, so whatever this grant is for, it's not ESSER. It doesn't say ESSER.
Every grant has an administration.
It has an administration piece in every grant. You have administration piece where there's salaries that's associated with it.
Okay.
And so it's automatically a budget line
for that, for that particular administrative support to that grant. And so that salary piece will be coming out of the grant. And it's not, the district is not absorbing the expense. Okay? So is there any other, thank you, you're quite welcome. So the motion was recommended for option 1. Is there no other discussion? Madam Secretary, roll call vote, please.
Terrell? Piles?
No.
German? Evetts, yes. Wester? Kennard?
Yes. Motion passes.
Yes. 5-1.
All right, 5-1.
Yes.
All right, thank you. The next item on the agenda is report of the Director of Human Resources, Mr. Scott. Action A, resignation of the Director of Technology. So move the recommended motion. Any board member to make the motion? Or better yet, we have 3, since we have 3 actions here, we'll do it as one, okay. Anyone? Okay.
Move that the Board of Education accept the resignation of Tracy Richardson, Director of GSRP for Romulus Community Schools, effective May 26, 2022. The resignation of Tanya Gregory, Special Services Administrative Assistant for Romulus Community Schools, effective May 31st, 2022. And the resignation of David Cooper, Director of Technology for Romulus Community Schools, effective May 26, 2022.
Support.
It has been motion made for the resignation of the Director of Technology, the resignation of Administrative Assistant Special Services, the resignation of the Consultant Services by Secretary Evetts and supported by Trustee Powles. Is there any discussion? Yes, Trustee German.
The resignation of the GSRP, was that Tracy Richardson, the gentleman who actually
Yes,
presentation?
yes. Any other? Okay. All right. If there's no other discussion, Madam Secretary, roll call vote, please.
Wester? Piles?
Yes.
German? Terrell? Kennard?
Yes.
Evetts, yes. Unanimous.
Motion passed for all 3 motions. The next item on the agenda is report of the Manager of Operations Facilities, Mr. Garland. You have a FYI and an action item. We do the FYI first. Where are numbered?
I'm getting more mic time than you guys tonight.
Yeah, we get to see you more often today.
So first, I'd like to give you a report on Merriman. Dr. Witherspoon stole a little of the thunder. Happy to report that the tenant is completely vacated. There are some items left that we're planning on removing ourselves, but they took a lot of additional products out of the garbage and things out of there that were useless, that were there. So they did clean up quite a bit. And at the pleasure of the board, if you wanted to do a walkthrough one day and just see what we got. Our biggest concern now, Dr. Witherspoon has said, is secure the asset and begin to make sure that no further damage is done, which we have done. We've had the roofers up there patching everything that we could find. We even have secured a price through the TIPS consortium. Once we can decide and build out what we want to do and what order we want to do it with this. We've contacted the Western Telecom, who is our fiber contractor. Beautiful news about that. Instead of being a $30,000, $40,000 addition to tie in. They're going to be able to tie into it our line that heads toward Hale Creek very simply and at little cost to the district, which I'm very excited
Yay.
about that. Roxanne had RISA come out, and they're going to give us some information. The worst part about that is, again, the supply chain on whether and how quickly we could get servers. So we're going to need to have some serious discussion about what we want, where we want it in that building. To me, I feel like we build it out really well with the technology side to make sure that we can utilize whatever we need to do in that building, whether it be latchkey, adult ed, early childhood, whatever we do with it. The downtown boxing club. Also, we have a video-fied camera system on the roof. We are expanding that at Dr. Witherspoon's request to cover the doors. So if someone walks up, not only will we get video of them, Sonatrol will call me. If they walk up to the door, they will call me. We are in the process of evaluating it electrically, plumbing, as he mentioned, HVAC. I had a gentleman who does our floors in the summer come out and just look at the gym floor. There's some serious damage to it, but he has given us a price, but it's a little high, so we would probably need to RFP a price for that. We did get a consortium price, as I said, through the roof, and because it's not tips, I got it both ways. I got a tip price, which would include prevailing wage, and a non-tip price, because when it's federal, we have to have that tips prevailing wage. Other than that, we're going to spend some time over the next couple weeks doing some things to clean out and repair things. Dr. Witherspoon also has told us to make sure that we get whatever pieces of equipment ready, staged, and decide how we're going to utilize them, and the rest will either set out to bid or it'll be deemed surplus and be trashed. We're going to get do some work with IDS, so if any of you want to be a part of that, please do, along with our sinking fund meetings to build out how we're going to handle that. So that's about it for Merriman. If you have any questions, I enjoy answering them for you.
You enjoy it.
Of course, it's me. Of course,
Since you enjoy,
No. First, I would rather answer good questions about us moving forward than the ones we used to get about Merriman.
So as we walked through, I personally noticed some collection of things that were taken off of the walls and off of the ceiling. Are those items still there, or did they deem them as those?
You're talking about the paper towel dispensers and soap dispensers? They're still there, but I just wanted to say thank you to them because those are obsolete. We can't use them anyway. So no, those items, they're not usable anymore. We can't even get those paper products. We've moved on to a different type, and we can't really utilize them with what we use. But as I said, if you'd like to come do a walkthrough, we'll schedule an appointment. Go ahead and let you walk through. The pews are still there. I know you guys. I saw a really nice use for them at Flat Rock High School when my granddaughter did her recital this weekend. They used them along the auditorium walls, and everybody sat in.
Oh, wow.
Well, even if you walk into Wick, Hale Creek, and Barth, there's that wall between the one kindergarten door and the art room. One would easily go there and just extra space, but again, they have to be cleaned and yada, 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 yeah. And one of the things that was brought to my attention is if they're going to be sitting on the floor and scratching the floor, we need to put something underneath them to avoid that.
Yeah, you could even put a rug under them.
Right, something. But yeah, extra seating space is nice.
So I guess the next thing is to get excited about what we're going to plan out for that building for our students.
Yeah. I have a question.
Trustee Powell.
Yes. First of all, Mr. Garland, thank you. We've sent you countless questions on Merriman, and thank you for always being thorough and expeditious in getting that, and thank you for spending your Saturday overseeing that at the beginning of May. We appreciate that very much. My question for Madam President and Dr. Weatherspoon is, we currently on Merriman have 35,000 of unpaid lease payments and 65,000 of unpaid deposit. Is Troon filing to recoup that for us, that $100,000?
I have not asked them to pursue it. It is my understanding that there are probably no assets against which we can charge what is owed us. We have, in my opinion, sustained other costs, which the district is probably going to have to absorb.
Okay.
And Mr. Garland is going to do that inventory as he's already described.
Right, okay.
Well, could you still touch bases with the legal, so that we can have a legal statement,
Phil Clark?
legal summary, to that effect, okay? So we can have it documented for the record. All right, okay, thank you. Any other? Thank you for your services, Mr. Garland. Yeah,
Thank you.
we really have, I know your emails have been long-winded, long for us, whatever, but you've been very diligently in responding to us.
You guys know I'm not a good typist.
And so, we know you're not a good typist, but you know what?
Takes me forever.
But we want to thank you for
I'm a good
even
talker.
responding, and handling that situation in the manner in which you did. And on behalf of the district, thank you.
I thank you for the quick response when I noticed that the U-Haul was there, because I
Yeah.
called Paula and I was like, I'm ready to call the police. And you got back immediately, so I
Yeah.
appreciate that rather
Because I
than,
know, and also we had trustee who called me late on a Saturday night. Nobody was around, and so that's how concerned our board
know.
members are. Our board members get around and, are looking at things and addressing, and they did communicate, and so we got that information to you, and you expeditiously, responded, and so we want to thank you. But we want everybody to know our board members are out and about, and we do look at things, and we're on top of it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
our team was just as frustrated. Trust me, we were frustrated with all of that with them as well.
But I know it's a gorgeous building. When I did the walkthrough, I was very I was amazingly surprised at what I saw, and it's in good condition. In terms, I know things need to be done to get it up to for whatever we're going to use in the future, but that was an excellent looking building.
And the outside
Right,
space
and the
is
outside.
incredible.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So the next item on the agenda is the RHS re-roofing proposal, Duro Last Roofing. So move the recommended motion. Any board member can read the motion.
move that the Board of Education approve the Duralast roofing proposal dated June 7, 2022, to re-roof Romulus High School utilizing the TIPS price schedule for a base cost of $1,537,983.38. Please refer to the attached document for additional information. This proposal utilizes Duralast contract number 210205 with the Interlocal Purchasing System, TIPS, and includes the total cost to purchase and install the Duralast roofing system. Installation will be provided by A-Win Roofing in Milan. Budget implications is ESSER 3.
It has been motion made by Secretary Evans and support by Trustee Terrell. Is there any discussion?
Me. So we've switched this, wasn't this initially part of the sinking fund or no?
Correct.
But we have to free up some sinking fund for other things, or?
Well, no, this is just a wise use of our funds.
Okay.
We have ESSER funds, and because of the condition of the roof and how it can affect our air quality, our air handlers, and actually the structure of the building, the federal government deemed that this was an allowable project. And moving forward, I think this is a really good use of those ESSER funds, that we're gonna, as Dr. Weatherspoon said, have to create our use of them in a way that makes sense for this district. And I just want to say this further. This will complete a promise that we made to the community. And I just want to thank the board, because this is the final roof in the district that needed to be completed.
Wow.
And
Yes.
that's amazing.
That's
We
huge.
did that. Because that was the first question that I was asked when the sinking fund passed. When are you starting the roofs? So that makes me feel really good.
So I have a question. On this contract, it says a 20-year warranty for the repair or the replacement of the roofing system. So are we replacing, can you give me a rundown of what's happening to the roof? Just an overall.
Absolutely.
Because I can read this all day long and
Yeah,
not, I'd like it in
So,
layman terms.
We had the major catastrophe over the pool, which was an emergency replacement with an insurance claim, and the insurance company paid for like 90%. We had a little section that we had to do to finish it because it wasn't damaged, but it didn't make sense to leave a 20-some-year-old roof. We replaced a cafeteria roof in a similar fashion a few years back, and then we had a serious leak over our locker rooms. But this building has it been in need of this. It is now well past the end of its life. Every portion of the roof will be completed, hopefully by the start of school, if not soon after. And there won't be an area that's left untouched, either in the former projects or now. So this will complete the entire structure.
We have an annual inspection of the roofs that tell us what needs to be focused on, and is it part of a depreciation that we can use to start replacing, like on the buses, do we depreciate the roof and then we can start adhering to those needs?
Yes, and actually I misspoke a little bit, because we didn't finish Rommel, but Rommel's roof is a different style of roof and still has about 5 to 7 more years. So that one wasn't part of the original. It was done in 2000. It's a rubber roof. It has a longer life expectancy. So I did misspeak a little. But these are all the single ply roofs. And, okay, now back to your question.
Inspections
Yes.
and depreciation.
So what we do now is, under our warranty, we have our crew does an annual walkthrough, actually twice a year, fall and spring, and they have to take pictures and they have to verify, and we keep that as part of our preventative maintenance platform. But obviously, Duralast, the way they do it is the roofer completes his job, and what makes this so good is then the actual company, Duralast, is responsible, so they have to come out and do their inspection of his work. So it's just not like he bolts. And they come out, and if they find anything, they make him correct it. And then they're on the hook for it. Now, obviously, if somebody gets on a roof and cuts holes in it, that's going to be on us. But the roof is slated with the style and type of membrane and work that's being done to be a 20-year roof. And most of ours did last that long. Some of them, are well past 20 years. Like some of these roofs are from '93. So.
Mr. Garland, I'd like to thank you just for the care that you have demonstrated in protecting our buildings, letting us know where issues were immediately, most cost-effective ways of either patching them or completely repairing them. I can say I can't imagine that there is anybody who is more diligent and attentive and genuinely cares about the condition of the buildings in this district than you. And I would put you up against anybody in any district. And you've done this for decades for us. Thank you very, very much for doing that.
Well, I appreciate that, but I feel like I got a crew who feels pretty good.
Yeah, thank you.
They're pretty good.
Okay, only thing that I have, is there anyone else before, because I'm gonna, okay, so only thing I would ask is that, and this is probably a financial, for the finance, at some point, that we have a running tally of the dollar amount for each one of the ESSERs, ESSER 1, 2, and 3, and a running list of all the things that were expended from that. So if we start off with $1 million and something, this is ESSER 1, we've expended X amount of, and this is what's left, okay, which is the percent of whatever was left, so that when we are reaching that threshold that we are expending, okay, so the board would like to see ESSER 1, 2, and 3, the total dollar amount for each one. Say, for instance, we're starting off with ESSER 3, we just got, you're going to take this amount of money out for this is what left, and each time you use that, it'll show
what's left, and so that we could plan, you could continue to plan, but most of all, so that the board would know, where we are till we get to 2023. Because I know there's some funding that's still left in ESSER 2 and 1 and 2, okay? Because 1 is all used up, so where are we? So make sure that we utilize that, and what are you using it for? So at some point, I don't know, the Finance Committee or someone can have that conversation in their meeting too, or Bill, if you guys can get it up, it's something easy to get your hands on as a FYI to the board. You can send it to me, and I'll send it out to the board members.
Yes, President Kennard, right now, Casey, who works with Shelby Freier's team, they have gotten approved out of the initial 8 million, which we have 5 more coming, about a little over 5 million approved. And those type of things, we will need some direction from Dr. Witherspoon and from the team on some direction, because I know it's going to sound crazy, but this money is slated in such a way you have to use it for the right things.
Right.
And we're going to need your direction to decide which projects to move forward and how we're going to move forward with some of it. It's 13 million total.
Okay, all right.
Also, I'm sorry.
Secretary Evans.
Also, along with the ESSER fund expenditures, can we get a cost analysis on the sinking fund? What was slated for dollars, budget versus actual costs? Just to know where we stand with our monies with the sinking fund. How are we slated to do what we need to be done, what we committed to versus, and what we now need additional?
I know
So-
Miss Sam Michelli from IDS has shared some of that with you, but whatever we've ever not used one year, we roll over into the next. And we were about at the end, we were about 800,000 left from last year to $1 million. They weren't exactly short. And this year, we're going to spend over $3.5 million with the improvements. And but yeah, that's something that we could.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, as far as the bid packet, if the bid packet comes in and says we're spending 5 million, but what we accomplished was 4.87, we've got that 13 left. Just to know how we're coming in the expenditures that we have, and I understand everything is ridiculously priced now, but it wasn't like that until recently, so, thank you, Billy.
Thank you.
Mr. Garland, or, I'm sorry, President Kennard, the enhancement millage, when does that expire? And what projects are covered under that?
Mr. Garland.
I think that's gone away now, the enhancement part of it. It just was, it was funny, we would always call it enhancement, but I believe it was just something they gave us to general fund, but I don't
thought
believe.
it was like a 10-year thing, and upcoming next year, they were going to include charter schools as getting part of the disbursements?
I thought it was a 3-year thing. Is that the Wayne County thing? Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Wayne County, the enhancement millage.
Well, I think maybe Shelby.
Shelby can best answer that.
Yeah, I thought it was done though. I really did. It was 3 or 5 years or something.
Okay.
And it was like 3 million a year or something.
You're wearing a different hat.
And I don't wear it well.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, so the motion made by Secretary Evans, supported by Trustee Terrell. Madam Secretary, roll call vote.
Piles,
Yes.
Terrell? Yes. German? Yes. Evans, yes. Kennard?
Yes.
5-0 unanimous.
Thank you,
Motion
Board.
passes.
Thank you,
Thank
Board.
you. The next item on the agenda is report of any board subcommittees. Okay, Secretary Evans has a subcommittee.
Finance Committee met on Thursday, and we discussed purchasing policies and procedures in place. We also discussed special events coordination of money handling and procedures for that. The bottom line is that, in purchase orders that can be approved and processed, President Kennard is sending an email to the finance department and instructing them on how to handle these situations, okay? Purchase orders of anything over $25,000 must be approved through the board prior to any type of action on that. And also, with regards to special events, there's going to be cost sheets associated to special events so that we know where the funding is coming from. And President Kennard is going to be sending that email to that effect. We do have another scheduled finance committee meeting. We're going to try and meet at least once a month so that we can review things as they come up and as we see that as we move toward the future.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other? All right, next item on the agenda is report of the board president. Okay, I see Brad here. I know you're not on the agenda, and Renee, I see Renee. So, Brad first. No, so briefly, can you provide us with information in terms of what, I know we have gotten some things out in the public about the district and what those things are, and, you know, any information you want to share to the board.
Well, I just talked to Dr. Bloodsaw as she was leaving, and she said she's been approached by several parents who saw her on TV at the gas station this week. So that is underway. Our geofencing program is underway. The television commercial that we shot with Beasley a couple weeks ago is now up and running. We're getting regular radio spots throughout every day of the week, and that campaign's going, and the television campaign's going. I think now we need to turn our attention to, in the coming weeks, I'd like to look at getting more earned media for the things that are coming to the district. There's a lot of work that's been done, and it's time to start telling the story. We put out a media advisory for the soft opening of the Meta Labs. Was disappointed to see zero interest by the media. And so I think it's going to be, quite frankly, good news doesn't settle as easily.
Right.
And it's just going to be a lot of work, but I think we need to take a stronger approach to finding reporters out there who are interested in the transformation that's happening. The bigger story isn't about the Meta Labs. It's a bigger picture story. I'm going to keep hammering away at that. Then let's see, what else can I update you on? Do you have any questions?
Yes, what radio station are we?
You are on Bounce and Kiss.
Okay,
With the call signs.
all right, and the TV, you said on TV as well?
We are on Comcast and all these streaming services. I think it's in the report, but it's literally just dozens of different
Okay.
channels, whether they're streaming or whether they still get cable.
And also, to add to what Brett is saying, the gas station, I guess what you call them, media, is in the Romulus area?
Yes, they're all
Okay.
in town here.
Okay, all right. Okay,
Good.
thank you.
I have to start pumping my gas. I see those.
All right,
Have we checked into the local cable channel that is done through the city?
Comcast.
It is
It is
Okay.
Comcast.
Oh, no, I use,
Yeah, okay, okay, all right.
You know what I can do for the board is get a full list of all the different places that you can see the commercials running. I think that might help.
Okay. So, well, I'll wait till Renee gets up and I'll ask that question pertaining to the Meta Labs, because I know we had a soft opening, and so I did see, well, the interest in terms of that, in terms of how we can beef it, you know, what are the what are you thinking of doing in terms of making sure the timing might have been, I think, the time frame. Was it adequate enough timing that it was out enough for people to respond to it? I mean, I think if that had some impact on it, or soft openings is just, okay, this is what's coming, but the big opening is the one we want to focus on, because there's another one, I believe. I stand to be corrected.
Madam Chair. As we have, and thank you for getting, Brad, for getting our messaging out there. Would it be possible as we get new enrollments, whether those are coming into central office or the buildings, could we be intentional about asking how they heard about Romulus or why they're enrolling, so we can maybe get some kind of, figure out what's attributable to the media, because we haven't done this before. Just ask, why are you enrolling, or how did you hear of us, and see what kind of feedback we get to see if that's been effective.
I thought I saw that on the survey. That's on the survey for marketing. I saw that somewhere.
It's on the survey,
Yeah,
but
it's on the survey.
I mean new enrollments.
Yeah, I understand that in the
So
enrollment
new
package.
enrollments don't have our
I don't know what
survey.
the new enrollment package look like
Yeah.
because we haven't seen one. We haven't had one really. I don't know.
Tammy,
Yeah.
do you know if we have, it used to have a check mark on there, or a box, how did you find out about us? Does that still exist in the enrollment? Because so much enrollment now is done virtually, as opposed to the hard copy.
So I would say duly noted. Okay, we duly noted. We will, Brad, take note.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Let me throw this out there. It is, across all sectors right now. I guess if you're in the hunt for the best French fry in Michigan, it's easier to get in the news than if you're talking about complex issues in general.
Best
And the news stream has been filled with a lot of things
Yeah.
lately because there's a lot happening out there in the world. So it's a tough game right now.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I think that we should probably focus on, as Roxanna's been doing yeoman's work to get the webpage
Right.
up and running. And the new webpage is gonna have really good outreach capabilities.
Oh, good.
I think we should start doing some short videos. It doesn't require a really expensive camera. It requires an iPhone and a clip-on lavalier mic. We can go out and do, and it doesn't have to be something, professionally produced. It can look reasonably good and be a 2-minute video updating the community on
I
where
like
we're
that.
at with development of labs, with the reopening of the pool.
That's why we've got a green room in the labs.
So,
Exactly.
Yeah,
We're
I
gonna have
like
kids
that.
doing these
Let
things.
kids do, yeah.
So, we've got a lot of opportunities, but we just need to kind of create them. And
Okay.
it's been a bit nuts lately with trying to get everybody done with the school year, but as we move into summer, there's more time to
Okay.
focus on how to just do some more organic storytelling.
Thank you, Brad. Okay. Renee, soft lab and possibly DBG.
Great and great. So the soft opening went better than I could have expected, so I like to control things, and we put the soft opening almost entirely in the hands of the students, as it should be with Meta, and they blew us away. So I hate to be competitive, but I am. We had the best soft opening so far in Michigan. So we were upset that there weren't more people there to see it, but the students just did such a stellar job with it. We've only been developing these student leaders for a few weeks now, and they just took over and did an outstanding job. So we do have a video that we're capturing that should show what the labs look like from the start, where there was nothing in it, to where they are now, which if you would have asked me a week ago if we were ready for this soft opening, I would have gulped and probably said no, but I mean, Secretary Evans was there. They look amazing. There's still work to be done, but it looks really, really great. And I should say that following the soft opening, we immediately went out to Detroit and had a very, very good meeting with Jessica and Collie. So I think both of those endeavors are going better than I could have hoped they would go. So, and I have high hopes. So I think we have really good news to report, and we will have another soft opening of the Meta Labs near the end of August, when we will have all labs done. So we met with Dr. Prince, Mr. Garland and I met with Dr. Prince earlier today, and I said, well, we're shooting to have August 19th be our date to have all labs done, and Dr. Prince said, no, mid-July. So we're really gonna, because in order to train the instructors for the labs, we need to have the labs built, because the instructors are going to be trained in those labs. When we hire the instructors for these labs, we expect them to go into those labs and demonstrate what they're capable of doing. So there is a push to get everything complete as soon as possibly can, and I know that Mr. Garland is a rock star, and he's been traveling to And all good news on our end with Meta and with DBG. Really, really happy with both of those.
Okay, so to the board members for the DBG, we have not had any conversations, extenuating conversations pertaining to what that's about yet. It's forthcoming. I know Renee is setting something up for board members to take a visit there, so that when we have those discussions, at least you would have been in the organization to know and to have a flavor of what it's all about. So we will be in the near future, very soon, having those conversations pertaining to that particular program as well. Okay?
Email was sent last night to Jessica looking for some evening hours because I know that best suits the
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. All right. So that's the report of the board president. Is there any communications from board members?
Yes, please.
Yes.
So I just want to say, I haven't been to a graduation in many years, and I was so excited to see the families, the community come together, families, friends. There wasn't, you couldn't find another seat in the gymnasium. It was packed. The student behavior was perfect. The attire, the music, everything was stellar. Billy, I have to compliment you. You were on top of everything. I sent you a text afterward, and you said handled, and you took care of everything, from the fans to make sure people were nice and cool, and everything just functioning professionally. The staff that guided the students in, that guided the parents in, seated people. Very organized, very professional, and I was very impressed with that, okay? Meta. I can't say enough about it, Renee. The parents, there were some parents there that were, they were shell-shocked. They were ecstatic. They want to know how they can enroll their students. I introduced myself to a parent from Hale Creek who said, I have a 5th grader and a 1st grader. And I said, does this entice you to keep your students here in Romulus? Because we know, right? We know. And they said, absolutely. Okay, there you go. You couldn't, Renee, you were disappointed there weren't more people. You couldn't get more people down the hall. How can you be so disappointed, young lady? I mean, seriously, it was the student engagement. I walked in and they were just describing things. I walked into the personal care, and I see these suitcases, and young ladies were telling me what were in the suitcases. I was shocked. I didn't even know these things existed. So let me tell you, kudos to you. Congratulations. You did a fine job. Billy, again, you know, great. Roxanne, I know you had a lot to do with the implementation of the IT setup in the gym and everything. Thank you very much for everything you have done to make these programs so welcoming and professional.
Thank you. Anyone else? Trustee Terrell.
Okay. I just want to say congratulations to all of the families and students who have graduated from Romulus. The graduation ceremony was beautiful. I attended the adult virtual learning graduation, and I was just overwhelmed with emotion to know that we have programs that touch every area of our community. And congratulations on a program well put together. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Trustee Powles.
I do. I also, well, first of all, let me back up. First of all, I want to thank my board colleagues and so many people throughout the district who reached out to me after my father passed away a couple weeks ago. Thank you for that. I haven't been able to respond, but I have appreciated every single message, so thank you. Secondly, Meta Labs. I wanted to share, I was not there, but I heard that our students who did this work, their enthusiasm and their engagement was through the roof at the soft opening. And that's what we need to do, is get our students engaged, get them excited, and active participants in their learning experience. So I was glad to hear that. I also heard that we had middle school students walk through, 8th graders, and see our Meta Labs and every single one said, oh my goodness, I didn't know Romulus High School had this. I'm registering for Romulus High School next year. And so that was telling. And to that, I was going to ask, I know we have a Metro Charter in Romulus. It only goes through 8th grade. So could we maybe reach out to the 8th grade students and families at Metro Charter and organize a meta walkthrough? Because they're going to choose a high school next year, and maybe we could get on and give them a personalized, personal tour of the meta, of our gym, of our pool, and maybe recruit some of those families. My other question, I guess, was regarding curriculum. I know, Dr. Weatherspoon, you said what we all know, we're behind the 8 ball and need to move expeditiously on getting positions posted. And specifically, I continue bringing up curriculum because we're an educational institution. We've got, person interim hustling and working hard, working very hard and having people support that. But again, I'm just asking that be brought as an action item. The board directed that be posted in November, and people are looking now for where they're going to be next year. So, we keep bringing it as FYI, but I'm requesting, could we please have an action item on curriculum, especially now that we've purchased all this curriculum. We need a full-time director. Lastly, I know we received the confidential envelope with job postings, and if I understand correctly, we're not posting those, we're posting curriculum though, is that correct?
No, that information that you received was information for board members to have. It's more or less like a draft. It was confidential because it's not concluded. At some point, we will be having extensive conversations in terms of what that will be based on the intent of the board before we take it to the public or to the board table. So that information, it's not a rhyme or room that that's what it's going to be, because the board needs to have input into. So that's just a part of or a piece of. There's some changes that may come about, but this is what the intent is. Okay. So that information was for your purpose of looking at documentation in terms of what the idea from the administration is thinking on.
So as far
so
as the curriculum position, when will that be posted?
I can't give you a time and date on that because Dr. Witherspoon would have to do that.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
You've asked the question several times, Trustee Piles, and my response was I would bring it to the board as soon as possible. You have that in front of you now as part of the package. We have several vacancies, special services, finance director, etc. So rather than do it piecemeal, we presented with Mr. Scott's thorough work, a whole package for you to consider.
Okay. So I would like to request, so that I don't send an email, but when we do discuss those positions, substantiating documentation on the salaries and on all of those positions relative to our peers. I know we want to be competitive, so if we can get that information of what districts around us are doing organizationally at central office, and also the pay scale, so that we are comparing it to something. And one other thing, and I'll close on this. Nationally, the growth in administrative staff, principals, teachers, and students, over the last couple decades, there's been an 8% change in growth increase in students. However, there's been an 88% increase in central office administration staff. There has been 37% increase in building principals, and the number of teachers delivering instruction has steadily declined and is now lower than the 8% growth rate in student enrollment. In our district, we don't have that 8% change in growth for students. So again, when we bring those to the board for discussion, I would implore the board, and this is based on the digest of national statistics, the National Center for Education Statistics, and I have the tables if anybody wants them, that we would be mindful of the increase in central office positions and salaries and be deliberate in channeling that money into classrooms for student supports and instructional supports.
Yes, Dr. Witherspoon.
Thank you for those comments and observations, Trustee Powers. The district is unique. Governance is unique. We are not competitive with the current situation. Until we stabilize and are able to attract people who are prepared to bring and guide a district out of the fiscal dilemma, the academic dilemma, and the political dilemmas, etc., you have to pay more money. So therefore, the comparisons that you're looking for probably won't exist because Romulus has a different track right now. Programmatically, the district is doing things that no other district is doing right now. So that we want to have as much of a competitive advantage as we possibly can. The board has moved, for example, Meta Labs. We've got 2 other Meta Labs in the state, but I'll just give an example. One student asked me at the soft opening, will this be available for night school, after school? Now, we hadn't really discussed that.
Right.
But if that becomes a competitive advantage, we certainly are going to look at that. The second part of it is, we're going to use certified teachers and their license to oversee the lab. So that requires a different type of an individual in terms of their ability to work collaboratively with an instructor. So we're in a different ballgame. So I would suggest that we look at the candidate pool when we advertise a position and see what it attracts. I can say to you, based in other places I've been, districts with 1,400 kids paid $180,000 for a superintendent. So we're in the most dense populated county in the state, and we cannot compete with the Ann Arbors of the world or Plymouth, Canton, or whatever, because we just don't have the base. So we've got to, if you want the talent and you want to stabilize, that's where we have to go. We have to pay more money.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other board members? Yes, Trustee German.
So I had really wanted to speak when Brad had came up.
Okay.
I actually saw the commercial on television, and it made me proud because it was just great to see Romulus in a different light. I saw some of the teachers who I had actually noticed in the audience. But Dr. Witherspoon, I really appreciate you bringing transparency to us and really focusing in on the enrollment and how to attract more students here in Romulus. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'm just going to, so I'm just going to say that I'm not going to duplicate anything that's already been said here because we all feel that we're working as hard as we can, even from the board all the way down to the instructor, the academic, even to the students. Even at graduation, I had a couple of parents say that they heard about this Meta Labs, they heard about the great things that Romulus is, and they're looking forward, you know, but specifically with the curriculum. They talked about the curriculum, okay, and how can my daughter, son, you know, be a part of a curriculum where we've not talked about or done in this district for a while. And what that meant, I don't know. But what I'm saying is that these are the types of things and conversations that people were asking and saying and commenting on. The graduation, it was phenomenal. Okay,
Awesome.
Energized. This district needed that energy. We got that. The public felt that. So in saying all that, we have done a lot of work in a short period of time, and there's a lot more work to be done. And I thank everyone from the instructional staff, our teachers, administration. We don't say it often enough, but we do value you. and the Board of Education is working hard. Just continue to be patient with us, and we can and collaborate together. And stating that, so move the motion. Any board member to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion made by Powell, support by Trustee German. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting has concluded at 9:12 p.m.